Yo, what's up, everybody? It's CLT again here with another Midwest weekly episode. This time we are covering the semifinals of the LOL Midwest Rec League here. I'm here with our normal co host and Nexus, and we have a special guest here, Mr. Campbell Amoeba from Capachungus Deluxe. Campbell, how you doing today, bro?
I'm doing great. Ready to get into a Midwest Weekly.
Yeah, we finally got you on this. So yeah, yeah. Nexus, how you doing over there, man?
So excited to have Campbell on this side of the mic rather than contributing in the chat. I think it'll be a fun little dynamic over the next hour or so.
Yeah, we got.
Hey, maybe I'll be contributing in the chat as well. You never know.
The both. Ooh.
Ooh, well, we got back-to-back support guest here. We had Penn's. Actually, no, he was in 2 weeks ago, I believe. And Campbell in today, so definitely talk a little bit of bot lane and everything. But for time's sake here, we will go over the Misfits and Capachungus Deluxe series here, which obviously Mr. Campbell was fortunate enough to play in here. Um, was an absolute fantastic series. Went the distance, which I originally said I thought both these series were going to go the distance. So, um, looking at game one, Campbell, I got the draft up right now. What you take us through maybe a little bit of this draft here? What you guys were thinking?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually wasn't playing this game because of some scheduling
Oh
things, but I
shit,
was
that's right.
there. I was there for the draft though. Um, so basically, I don't want to like leak our drafts or anything,
Hmm.
but I mean, if anyone's watched our games over the whole season, you can tell that we prio Pantheon pretty heavily. And then when we pick Pantheon, we really like to match Talia with it. It's just got a really good combo. Great for getting picks and like map pressure with the double global ult. So when we saw the Yunara B1, we thought that it wasn't super crazy. We, I think we overrated Yunara a little bit going into our last series versus Misfits. We B1'd it. Um, so we just kind of slammed down Pantheon Talia right away. And we knew kind of going in because of our last series against them and also how they've been playing the whole split that Misfits really likes to do these big sort of wombo combo team fight AoE ults comps. So we really wanted to and tanks as well. They play a lot of tanks, so we just wanted to make sure that we had a lot of damage and heal for our carries in our comp, and I think we managed to do that. And our R5 Gwen Golden Sunset pick ended up being pretty big.
Yeah, I think Nexus will second this. This game one, you definitely had a lot of map pressure with the Talia Pantheon. That combo was pretty insane. Nexus, I know we talked a lot about Yanara, I believe, in a couple of episodes. What supports do you like typically to pair with it?
Think it's best with enchanters. I still value it pretty highly. I think you look at this draft here, you see all the AD bands coming through, so I think it's a pretty comfortable B1 if you have a Yunara player. If you are planning on blinding AD. But I do think it pairs best with enchanters, so would have liked to see, maybe something else out of Rhaegar, but that can be pretty tough when the Nautilus is shown early. So I think that's why they pivoted towards the engage with the Leona. But typically, and I've had kind of heard consensus around the pick is it it's best with enchanters. I don't know if Campbell has any more thoughts on that.
I definitely agree. When we picked it against them last series, I was playing Milio, I believe,
Yeah.
and I think it's my opinion on Yunara. Now, I'm not an ADC player, but I think I would pick her in any situation that I would pick Jinx. I think they're very similar, like
Hmm.
maybe not kit wise, but they're like hyper carry scaling. You just want to have someone that's able to kind of empower them and let them hit. And like early game pressure from engage supports, like if Leona hits a big engage, Yunara, unless she's got her Q stacked, isn't going to be super powerful there. So I definitely agree that Enchanter's the way to go with her.
And then, rest of draft too. think the one thing that wasn't brought up with the Pantheon Talia combo as well that you guys used really well throughout the game was double global. It just gives you so much pressure around the map, and I felt like in this game one it was utilized really well. You already have a side lane presence with that R5 Gwen, and then just throwing on top that double global, really spreading the Misfits team around, not letting them get set up for this team fight, and building a lead before they can do so. I thought that was another kind of key point of this draft from the Capichungas side.
Yep, I'm 100% with that. But going into the game, I do remember there was quite a bit of brawling in the bot lane, but it wasn't really until I think what turrets or not turrets, but the plates started to fall, the where this game felt like it kind of opened up once everybody got access to the ultimates and everything. This got much faster pace.
Yeah, I feel like there was seemed to be a lot of back and forth in my memory in the early game. No big kills in either direction necessarily. A few skirmishes here or there, and that's where, like I said, I think the global advantage of Pantheon ult, of the Talia ult, came in pretty nicely. I feel like that was the difference maker in the early game because Soka got off to a pretty good lead, and they were really able to shut that down by just good map movement from the whole squad.
Oh, I forgot this was the Lethal Tempo Mel game.
Yeah, I was about to say we got a little bit of a break with Lethal Tempo Mel. Um, Definitely made or could have made or braked. Jeez, that is not how you speak English. A few fights, so we kind of caught a bit of a lucky one there, but the rune selection I guess is part of the game, so got to make sure you're all paying attention for that. But definitely lucky for us.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a mistake or if he was trying to cook up some tech. I was kind of expecting them to ask for a potential remake, which is up to the
So was
opposing
I.
team, but it was interesting.
And then the other thing I'll say about this early game is that I felt that Timo's Kuchi, subbing in at support, had a pretty strong start to the game. We got a level 1 like invade kill from him hitting a hook, and he generally hit some decent hooks in laning phase. I felt like there were some issues after the early game, but we'll get into that when we get there.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any more insight onto? Because I know Joker subbed in the past, and I think you guys had Golden play support. Is any specific reason you had Golden in top lane and then Timo's as support?
So, um, and this is a rule that's changing for the Sweat League next split, but we were using our six-man roster, and Joker
Mm.
is just an ADC player, so he was going to play ADC. And we felt
Ah,
that if I was going to sub in halfway through the series, that it wouldn't be fair to have Golden then like switch roles. Feels like it kind of cheating Fearless a little bit. Like if say he has two really good support picks and then I come in and play support and he goes top, like we just wanted to be as fair as possible with our six men, even though it would have been allowed. So that's why we chose to do it that way.
very respectable. Yeah,
Yep.
can commend that. As we see Timo's Kushi.
That's kind of what I was
That's the
getting
moment.
at.
It's just playmaking, man. Looking for those Nautilus opportunities. We could call it that.
I was sitting deafened watching this game because my meeting hadn't started yet, and I was receiving reports that the comms were in kind of a rough state after that. I think Joker did not like that play, but we
Oh
got through
boy.
it.
Yeah. Do you want to zoom ahead to kind of mid game?
Yeah.
Like I said, this early game was pretty action packed, but I feel like it was a lot of quick little even back and forth.
Uh huh.
I have 35-20 as kind of my marker of the big first fight because I think this is where we got maybe a little more trade back and forth. Both teams still bunching pretty evenly, 9-9, one Drake to one Drake, but Capuchungus first to the objective, getting set up here. Walliford TP's on in, and then the action just breaks out on both sides. Four-man ult from How I Met My ADC. Rough Ornhorn to put it lightly. And then just chaos between both AD carries kind of kiting each other back and forth. Felt like that was a nice, fun, explosive team fight to watch there around the third Drake of the game.
Yeah.
Uh, de-
Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, definitely. That's like a great little brawl there. Total just 5v5 hitting each other action. Um, One thing I wanted to say is that I think Joker excels more than Golden maybe at just staying safe and getting out max DPS in these fights. And I think he did really well at that this fight, just hitting from the back safely and churning out a ton of damage. And then the other thing is that I believe Golden had a bit of a lag issue and kind of just ran into five people and died. So I think the fight could have been a lot more winning for us, but I might be misremembering.
It's, I mean, one thing I do want to touch on, and that this being kind of my intro for the point, is I feel like the Amumu that was drafted for Misfits, there wasn't really great follow up drafted around it. We've seen a lot of Amumu MF come out of teams this whole split. I think that would have been a bit of an interesting angle, especially because I know that's a Lolcats champion. It came up later in the series. Game five Fearless. I don't know. This is over strategizing your play, but I do wonder. Maybe they should have saved those picks for each other because even the Mel doesn't really have great follow up. I think on the Amumu engage. So that was kind of a point I saw in not just this fight, but a few more upcoming fights, was how I'm at my ADC getting on top of the members of Capuchungus, but not really able to convert those into much more kills, just due to a lack of strong instant damage follow up. And to your point, Campbell, Joker just hiding out these fights really well and inputting some solid DPM.
Yeah. I feel like if I'm looking at this Amumu in here, I don't know if I want to go the Leanders first. I think your whole goal is to be like pretty tanky overall. Um, and then I also thought Soka had like a pretty lower damage build going the double lost chapter items. So, but I do agree. I think in game one, there's definitely a lot better picks, especially out of mid, to kind of mesh
May
with
have been
that.
comfort, may have been denial. I think we're pulling up on the next little fight I had marked. Is this like 38-20-ish?
Um,
This first Otacon fight? Yeah,
yeah,
so once again, Capuchunga's first to the objective here. They started up pretty boldly, I will say, which can be scary with the Otacon just because of how much damage it does and how much it shreds. And then it looks okay for Misfits on the re-engage. Like I said, these Amumus. Amumu was hitting with some fantastic ultis, but there's just no follow-up. And then they burn through the Amumu, get the Otacon. Ornn just not in the area as well, so just recognizing the numbers advantage and really good objective play out of Capuchungus in this game one. Getting there first and then kind of getting to dictate how they wanna proceed. Even if the comms were rough, I feel like most of the time Capuchungus was on the same page in terms of turning and finishing the objectives. We saw it in that third Drake, we see it in the Otacon, and that's what really started to get them a lead here as transitions to the middle and more late games started to happen.
100%. I think this is kind of where Timo's locked back in a little bit. It's an underrated skill, but he did hit, I think, three or four people with his ult on that Otacon, and that just allowed I wasn't there, but to burst the Amumu down and then secure the objective from there. I think we made a really heavy priority this series of being first on objectives, because last time we played against Misfits, they were kind of just starting objectives like randomly, it felt like. Like we would just lose Otacon when we thought they didn't have a turn on it. I think that actually happened in two or three of the games in our last series against Misfits. So we knew that um, we should be on objectives like right when they spawn, and that even if they might not have push in some lanes, that they're willing to just do the objective and sack some waves. So I think that was just a big part of our strategy this series as well.
And it paid off. We can even jump ahead to the next Drake if we want. 41 minutes, so just a little bit ahead. Got some good flow in the kind of later game. This go around, Misfits, they do set up first, but I think by now you're in a comfortable spot as Capuchungus with this 4K gold lead, and then just walking up together as a unit. Another good Amumu ult, but it's just kited out well because no one's really there to follow up. And once that front line of the Amumu falls down, I feel like Walliford wasn't really positioning in the front line enough, especially in that fight. Letting his carries kind of take the hooks and take the damage first. Capachungus pouncing well. And I think this was a really good fight. This one definitely kind of secured the game because was it an ace? Yeah, an ace, 5 for 0, and Drake on top of that Joker playing knife's edge there, barely getting out.
Yeah, Joker played that fantastic. Um, but yeah, I don't think if I'm Misfits, I even really want to fight that Drake. Yeah, it feels bad to give over and start on Soul Point, but right after that fight, we just seen Cats complete the IE. Um, so I feel like that's the big difference maker because she got off quite a few autos and tried to stand her ground. Um, but the Walliford, yeah, not being in the really the right position, but I still don't think she even has enough damage there. So it was interesting, but no, Kappa played these fights really well.
As much
I
as I
think.
like to go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I was just gonna say. I think at this point, like Misfits comp does not do much damage, as we kind of touched on earlier. I think the Yunara and the Mel builds both are not great for churning out a ton of damage, and then they're already behind, and their engage is a little disjointed, so it made the fights pretty easy to play for us at this point in the game. I think.
Pretty much align the points of what I was gonna say. Like, as strong as the scaling is for Misfits, in theory, with the Ornn, the Amumu, the Yunara, the early game lead that they kind of ceded over due to the Talia and Pantheon, and then just the way those champions operate, it's really tough for Yunara to safely stack up just into the burst damage of Capatongus. So I think this game one was primarily draft diff for the side of Capuchungus, and they executed on it with how the early game went, but just a phenomenal draft.
Yeah,
I think, by this point, like I said, things were kind of sealed. 47-30 is the final fight. Really kind of ends things. By this point, just you can take a look at the map right now and see how all the lanes are just pressured, and this is a little after Baron kind of got worn off at least, but just playing around the Talia pick a little well, catching out Lowcats, and once Lowcats falls, that's all the consistent DPS on the side of Misfits, and Capuchungus boys just cleaned it up nicely.
yeah, yep, I'm 100% there. Um, just Misfits at this point, you get wallet diffed, and it didn't look like they were the most comfortable with with aspects of this team comp.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the way the different characters play. I feel like they're at their best when they're playing this very clean 5-man team fight squad with a lot of tanks, with a lot of team fight power, and just a tad bit disjointed in this game one draft.
Yeah. Well, let's look at game 2 here. Let's see. So
Campbell, you were back in game 3, right?
Yeah, this is one where I was not there. I don't think I wasn't there in draft. I wouldn't have let a Garen pick go through. So, um, yeah. This was all them, I'll say. But this one I think Misfits played a lot more of their style, and you can tell by the gameplay as we'll get into.
Reflection on the Garen pick too. I think Walliford kind of ran this game over with the Tom Kench, if I'm remembering right. Just picked up
yeah,
a ton of kills and
Yeah, I think he killed the Garen on
waddling
side
at you.
lane like 4 times.
Yeah, not what you want under your Garen, but I don't know. What's Golden Sunset's champion pool like? Is it?
It's not bad. I think it's bigger than Team Gucci, but I don't know. He really, really wanted to play Garen. Like we went into the series, he was like, "I'm so excited to play Garen," and I guess he was blind picking. And I don't know. I would never think Garen is a good blind pick here, but he did it. So big ups to him for playing the champion he wanted to. But I don't think we'll be seeing the Garen again in finals. I'll just say that.
mm,
Maybe on R5. We'll have to.
Maybe.
yeah. I mean, I love the opening part of the draft. uh, with the Ari Vi, because that is a pretty potent combo, and I don't think their response to that was the greatest. But then, yeah, not having a more tankier dive buddy, and just this Garen just gets kited into oblivion by this Ezreal Vex. Yeah. It
Kind of
was
about the solo lanes.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, we had a big
Oh,
five
five
man
man fear.
fear. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
I
really
hear.
only glanced over this game from the replay, so this might like shock me. How we'll see how they play it. Like, I don't think it went well based on how the atmosphere was when I returned to the team, but we'll see.
yeah, yeah. I
All
remember.
guys.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, this is Walliford's kind of like I don't play. I play tanks, but I can actually like perform on them. Like they're really known as like a weak side team when it comes to the top side, but Walliford just kind of gave this Garen all he could.
And I think too the bot lane matchup, and Campbell can jump in here too, but this Lucian Braum into Ezreal Thresh is relatively safe on both sides just because of all the mobility. Slightly Lucian Braum favored. I'm personally not a fan of combining Ezreal and Thresh. I feel like you usually want to pair Thresh up with someone that takes advantage of the lantern and has good kind of all-in follow-up off of a hook. Ezreal doesn't fit both of those bills. Kind of just wants to poke and play lane, and then is safe enough with his own arcane shift. So a little bit of a maybe disadvantage in the bot lane, but ultimately just a safe lane and really enabled the two solo laners to take over. As I know they picked up a few early kills for themselves on both sides.
Yeah, I'll say I think just if we're thinking about the champions themselves, I think we got ourselves a big advantage from bot lane, as you said. I think Lucian Braum is quite strong. Um, how they synergize with Braum's passive and Lucian's passive, and I just think maybe it's a comfort thing or really sure, but I don't think we got all the power that we could have, and it just meant that the disadvantages elsewhere, like in top, um, really kind of decided how the game when the Lucian got behind.
It's a tough Lucian game to play into Palm Kench, Vex, Sejuani, that whole top side. You can't really dash in, and you're not going to be dealing too much damage. You operate from such a short range and into those tanks. It's tough to really lay some DPS on them. So that probably hurt a little bit. I'm gonna go. Let's go to 112.20 for some early game action. I want to point out Soka just really good on the roams. This entire series, I feel like recognizing plays. Maybe not 112.20. Did I misspeak? Uh,
I see Vex walking down. There might be an ult here.
Okay, yeah, just calling it out really early. So just recognizing the play so early, because this starts off as like a 3v3, but Vex was moving before Wave even met in the mid lane. So I don't know the calls here from the side of Misfits, but that really flipped this bottom lane fight. Because now you see Pilk start to move. It's really natural as mid laners to want to shove the wave before you look to move, but want to give a shout to Soka there, recognizing the play is going to start before it even happens, not even touching the wave, kind of giving shove, and it works out very well for them as they pick up the feat of warfare off of that, pretty much just off that numbers advantage because it's otherwise a pretty even 3v3.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I'll say Soka in both series we played is extremely effective on the roam playstyle. Plays a lot of kind of assassin type characters. And, the normal kind of mid lane pattern is, you shove and then you get a turn and you roam. But Soka sees these opportunities when a bot lane fight's about to start, and just with the Vex, with the Katarina, is really able to open up these kind of opportunities for picks. I think like both games that he played against us with the Vex in the regular season as well, it was kind of just like landing some big ults and cleaning up a ton of kills and generating a massive lead from that. So I think that was really solid in almost every game. that we played against him, to be honest.
Mid laner there, and I know mid lane was a pretty close all-star vote. Uh, I have us jumping up to 116.20 for our next little bit of action. Another pretty explosive early game on both sides. I think both junglers getting decently evolved, especially how I met my ADC in terms of getting on the map. Walliford initiating a trade onto Golden Sunset. This counterpick Tom Kent's just really doing wonders. The flash was forced out, and from that, it's pretty easy Sejuani gank into a kill. In the meantime, though, Pha on the Drake, so good cross map play on both sides there, and I think leaving it running, see some good action out of the mid lane. Just wanted to give Soka a shout for what ends up happening here. This Vi Ari combo pounces, but Ari just not dealing too much damage anymore, and then Soka somehow, some way getting out, dodging that Q2, TP coming in from Walliford. Just thought that was kind of a cool play to look at on the side of Soka, and then point out that whole top lane situation too, as Walliford picked up a third kill off of that.
Yeah, I think him living there and preserving the shutdown also then delays Ari to the Roa even more. So it was a pretty good heads up play, nice sidestep at the end of it. And just this is Airy Ari that went Catalyst of the Aeons first. This is not how you want to pilot the champion in this style of comp. Like I understand the Ari against like melee mid laners, bringing the Airy out and just like auto poking and kind of grinding out melees, but you really want the electrocute. You want the either malignants or ludens, and you're wanting to pair it with the Vi, and just basically one shot whoever she ults.
Another
Yeah.
loss to
Oh, sorry. Go
shopkeeper.
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll say the Ari, I believe, like I wasn't there as I said, but was picked as kind of a preventative measure because we really like the Ari matchup into some Ahsoka's champions like Katarina, like Echo. Um, as you said, the melee mids.
hmm
So it was a good pivot by Misfits to pick Vex, and then I mean you see it there where like the Vexar is a full item, and the Ari was sitting on just a Catalyst at that time. So when you execute the Vi Ari combo like that and you can't kill your target, it makes the game really, really hard to play from there because you're kind of blowing all your cooldowns and not even getting a pick out of it, and then kills go back the other way. So I think the game just kind of got exponentially harder. Ari getting really delayed on her scaling here with the Roa, and it just quite difficult.
yeah. I think even if you're dedicated to like building the Roa, um, just to survive like the Vex burst, I still think you go like blasting 1 second and then spec into like boots with that little extra leftover gold there, um, just so that first level 6 you can be productive with it.
Fair. And I will say, to Pilk's credit, the Roa build, when it did come in, because this game did go a little bit later, it was working out very well for the 1v1 side lane. Vex didn't have this all-in kill pressure that you would want out of, the Vex pick. I think that's kind of part of the reason you hate on it and why I'm not necessarily a huge fan of it either, is it doesn't have great 1v1 holding kill potential you'd want out of either an assassin or a mage. It's this weird in between. So the Roa did come in handy there, but in the early game, not enough damage. And I think now that we're in semifinals, Pilk's a solid mid laner. I'd like to see them trust themselves and kind of throw down the gauntlet, go for more of a skill check angle with more damage on both sides.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we can do that for him. We can get him on something. We really value. He has quite a wide champion pool and is able to make our drafts pretty flexible. So unfortunately for him, he kind of like is on Talia duty or is on Ari duty, where we just pick it because it fits our comp and not necessarily because it's going to win him his lane. And so we'll try harder, maybe for his sake. He can have some fun on a counter pick for once, but um, yeah, I think in this game it just got out of hand kind of early, and then it made it quite hard for us to come back.
yeah,
Pretty easy Drake pickup though. Once again, highlighting objective setup prep in the series. If we go to a little before 122, kind of the next big skirmish that breaks out here, as Rift Herald setup began. Misfits in the river first, but pounces, and then more craziness breaks out. Capuchungus just this is again the objective setup. I think this was key to the games here. Getting to the objective first, and then I feel like Misfits, used to playing at those objectives, starting them up. It's a pretty simple game. If you have the numbers there, and if you have them there first, it's usually going to go in your favor, and we see that demonstrated there.
Yeah, that's kind of what you want to do with this comp. You want to make the first moves. You want to put pressure on the opposing team. Um, so having that 2v3 there um, was really good for Kappa to like just kind of start grinding back into this game. They even had the gold lead after that play.
Yeah, it's just it looks like it's on Garen, maybe a little bit of Braum too. Not where you need the gold at all, because Tom Kench is still sitting pretty comfortably in this side lane. Vex still loads of damage burst available. I have our next little mini team fight angle around 126.30. I think it was a big dragon dance as both teams kind of going back and forth. Little gobble gobble.
Yeah. Well,
It's just hard to watch.
You would never let this happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much scaling on the top side of the map here. Double heart steals.
Yeah, how do you feel about if we want to talk another items thing before we get to this aforementioned Dragon Dance? The Eclipse on the Vi.
Uh, I'm okay with it, just because the top side of the map and Vex are typically coming into you, so it's not terrible procking the shield. Um, even even though like Vi still wants to be the one to make the first move, so she wants to get the jump. She's gonna press the R and then combo off that and get the shield there. So I think it's a very useful item. It lets her get to, a second round of her passive use. So it's like a shield upon shield. Um, so I don't mind it. I don't. It's a really tough game to play Vi in, just because there's just so much beef plus Vex on the top side of the map to just get through. So
Just kind of a little curious.
I mean,
Want to zoom ahead like 1.5 minutes here, 126.30. Kind of see a big Dragon Dance break out. A lot of back and forth, and I think this is where the tankiness of the Misfits squad is really on full display. Dragon started up by Misfits, but good collapse. The numbers are kind of there for Capuchungus. They force him off the Drake initially. Golden Sunset getting a bit caught out by all this CC. Walliford going in, forcing the Spirit Rush out of Ari as well. And then it's just this really long back and forth between both teams. This is where it would have been interesting to have insight into comms. Because I know it is. These moments are so fun with how live it is and how tense it can get. Low health bars, Golden Sunset, barely getting out. Walliford going in, flash over the wall from Rhaegar. I think ultimately it's the fact that Lolcats and Soka are over the wall and able to free hit in the middle of everyone is why Misfits win this, and this is a big fight win. They pick up two. Do they get this third? Not quite, but that gets them Drake as well and kind of brings them back into the game that was slipping a little bit out of their hands, especially into the Ari Vi Garen kind of mid-game skirmishing, trigger pulling squad.
yeah, Also, them stacking Chemtech Drakes, I think, is low key like very useful. And it's a lot of just minuscule shielding, but it's so repetitive. Plus the healing from like Unending Despair, it just makes these two tanks much harder to take care of. You even got amplification on the Locket shield, so as you're stacking these Chemtechs, it just becomes so much harder for Kappa to play this game. I think I remember, now seeing this game, it coming back to me that I would have loved to seen Garen on like a Hall Breaker, and just try to do something to split up this Misfits team comp. I still don't know if it's 100% like the game changer, but yeah, after a couple of 5v5s, there's just not much Kappa can do.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I'll say is kind of how they won in their last series against us too. Is they have these huge beefy guys like Walliford and How I Met My ADC both love playing tanks, and we like in this game as well, like just don't have anything that will chew through them. So as you mentioned with the Chemtrick Drakes, like once those start stacking, like it is very hard to kill this Tom Kench, the Sejuani as well. Um, so it's like when you fall a little bit behind with this comp, then it gets worse and worse. And you mentioned the Garen going more of a side lane focused build, but I mean I'm just watching this and he can't match anyone
No,
in
no.
the side lane. Like so I don't even know how much that would help. Like instead of a Phantom Dancer, he's a Hull Breaker here or third or whatever. Like that Tom Kench is still just gonna eat him up. So
Yeah,
um,
I don't
it's
disagree. Yeah.
yeah, it's a little rough overall, but I mean, this is just Misfits absolutely playing the game the way they want to play it and executing their comp very well.
Mhm. Yep.
Our game kind of was relatively slow in this 20 to 30 minute marker. I think just a few towers that were able to get picked up by Misfits. Really just tier ones though. Like both teams doing a pretty good job of holding the line, keeping things even, and really waiting to play around objectives. Um, and a few picks back and forth here, but never anything enough to really accelerate into large kind of objective taking or super large team fight wins. I think I see a fight, and this may be jumping ahead a little bit, but around 138. How I Met My ADC gets a bit caught out in the river. Once again, good objective setup. And they can't quite get him out, escort him out, but Walliford with the TP on in, I think catches Capachungus a bit off guard here. And no one's killing this Tom Kench. I mean, you can just free run, rain at them. Vex ulti reset comes on in, and then a few good kills for the side of Misfits. Great flash out of Soka there. That was very crisp over the Braum ulti, and then enough to get the Vi. I thought that was really nice micro. And they turn this into a Baron, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Garen tries making the cross map play here, soloing the dragon, and it's just nothing. Like this Tom Kench, I think, can just run straight forward into our team. No one will ever kill him, and just absolutely run the map. So it's rough. And then this is the sole point as well.
Yeah. Yep. I think this was the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, even though gold's even, I mean, like who's your damage for the side of Capachungus? It's maybe the Lucian, but it's so tough to hit even with the LDR. And then what is it? 500 Heartsteel stacks? Yeah, that's massive. And then about a minute at 142 is when the game. I remember the game kind of ended. That final team fight. Um,
Yeah, Golden getting picked out.
yeah, it is around the Baron. We get him picked. I mean, this time by this point, the gold lead is too big. Misfits are able to just be first the objective, get the side lane pushes
Just he eats the whole calling. Oh my.
in. Lost a little bit of health. Just flashing on forward without a care.
Yeah,
The
three
worst
camp.
part is there isn't even a gold lead. You say the gold lead is too big, and we're the ones with the gold lead,
Oh,
but it
yeah,
just
never
doesn't
mind.
matter. You can't kill anyone.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Knife too.
Yeah, this was Pilk's, I believe, his only death in this game.
there go the Magi stacks.
Yep. Yep, that item's cursed. Don't ever buy it.
But off
Yeah.
of that Baron, now they finally get a gold lead.
Yeah.
More of a comp diff, not a gold
Yeah.
lead. Bit of a
Don't
misspeak
think
there.
they relinquish the gold lead for the rest of the game either. So
No. Nope, just trying to kind of get to this last team fight, but as you can see, Misfits just, they have full reign of this map.
Yeah,
So,
well, it has to go. That's one of those moments. Like you have to go into a try to look for the Elder, maybe get a smite steal, but Misfits wisely just playing it smart, getting the Elder, backing up, regrouping, and then marching it on down
mhm.
for a 40-minute win. It was a long one, but I think pretty comfortably in control for most of that game, just with nature of the comp.
Yeah. Yeah, Wallifer and How I Met My ADC were playing Doom bots here. You just couldn't kill them. So, but here's where our guest enters himself into the fray.
Yeah, so when you jump in here, like what was the mental like? Did you kind of have to rally the squad back?
yeah, it was. I joined and it's like silence. It's like, oh, it was that bad. Like I didn't catch the game at all. I was like, oh, how'd it go, guys? Like, oof. So I think it even took us a little while to recalibrate our mentals here. This game was kind of rough as well. But was able to eventually get a little more happy atmosphere. But yeah, kind of going through it after that last one. Some frustration.
I mean, personally, anytime I lose a game over like 35 minutes, it's always going to be a little bit tilting just because it usually can go either way when it goes that long. Just a little bit different here or there on the map play may have made the difference. And more importantly, sometimes you just spend 40 minutes of your time to lose. No one likes doing that. And then the game three draft, more importantly, Blitzcrank and Zoe. Care to share any insight into that? I think that was kind of the key two picks here.
Yeah, the Blitzcrank was not the move. It was we looked at the point in the draft and they had Karma and Lux, and I thought, well, not just me, but just in general, we thought those are two immobile squishy champions. Like one Blitzcrank hook can totally turn a fight, um, no matter what ADC they pick, really. And Jin, it's not even like great. I think Blitzcrank can exert a lot of dominance here if piloted well, which we can get into later. And then the R5 Zoe was similar. Like they have three squishies, and Pilk has a lot of games on Zoe, and we hadn't played it yet, so we thought, this is our chance to maybe open up kind of a pick-based comp. But our draft in general was pretty rough. We drafted Silas as kind of like a flex, um, and it just ended up being that both matchups were horrible for him, and so he couldn't really play the game either. Top.
But
It was not a great draft.
he didn't want to play Silas and a Zoe.
Silas and Lux,
Or
no,
I'm sorry, in
we
the
didn't
Lux. Sorry.
like that.
Ooh.
We didn't love it. I don't think it's horrible. I think it's better than into Mordekaiser. Like he genuinely cannot play into Mordekaiser, but it was just kind of a comfort pick at the time. Like, oh well, we'll put him top and let him kind of get destroyed in lane a little bit, and hope that we can open up the draft with the Zoe. It just didn't end up turning out that way in the end.
Yeah, I thought the Zoe pick threw me for an absolute loop because Lux has always been kind of a legacy counter into Zoe. Like if Zoe ever R's forward, Lux can eat it with the W and then just ER wherever Zoe's going back, and she just can't play the game after a bit.
Yeah, I think we were kind of juggling Cinder and Zoe, I think, from what I remember, and then there was like 3 seconds left for our pick, and we're like, okay, Zoe, like that. And, probably not the best angle for it.
Yeah, yeah. I thought Silas was like a guaranteed shoe in for mid. Silas is actually, depending on champion states, he's been an okay answer into Lux just because of his mobility um, overall. But I honestly like even just thinking if you take Silas mid and you pivot something else, Varus is outranged, Blitzcrank is outranged, and you really have no enchanter to like help Silas and Zhao absorb the damage they're running into. Um, yeah, I thought Misfits kind of came in with a set game plan on a comp, and it's a tough one to play into without like super hard engage. Like this would have been like the Vi Ari game if you
Yeah,
had that on the table.
unfortunately, yeah, Fearless has prevented us from running it back with that one.
Hmm. Yeah.
In terms of the poke comp, Zoe, Blitz, Ferris, incredible, pick potential, poke potential as well. But typically, when you run these poke comps, you want to have a very reliable front line that lets you play around that positioning and establish vision beforehand. And really, Misfits draft is kind of just a better version of the Capachungas draft. I feel like it's a
Yeah.
similar poke pick style, but they have a more reliable front line in Skarner, Mordecai. They have more range with Jin, Karma, Lux. So I think this was another one that was really cemented in draft. Lane matchup wise, Blitz Varus I think is a good call into Jin Karma. Karma's always so fun to play against. You have to go something with kill pressure. It's really your only answer, just because you're gonna get outranged if you lock anything else. Like Enchanter, you're gonna get poked out. If you draft all in, you at least have some potential to fight back and try to swing things your way. So I don't mind the picks, but I think like CLT and you guys have kind of touched on there, the Zoe was maybe a bit of an overcook, but you can see the vision there, and I'm sure that's been a comp that has worked out a few times in the past for you guys.
Yeah, I'll say the draft wasn't unplayable for us, but it made things harder. And then when we made mistakes, it's like they just snowballed. And I'll say like a human on Blitzcrank probably could have accomplished a lot more than I did, but we'll see. We'll see as we watch the VOD here.
Mm.
Yeah, not too much action in the early game. I want to jump ahead to the first little grub skirmish about 2:15:40. That is where things really break off. How I met my ADC once again, getting involved and having really good impact in these team fights, knowing how to use those tanks and those AoE ultis.
Yeah, that ult is just enormous.
Yeah.
Yeah, game changer. Because honestly, the fight's pretty close. Skarner falls, and numbers wise, it looks like Golden Sunset may be able to clean a few up, but it's Mordekaiser staying alive.
Oh.
Barely gets Zoe here too. No, actually, Pilk gets out. Oof.
And we actually end up winning this kind of trade. Um, I was surprised that Pilk woke him up from that bubble. I was like begging him not to. Like she just throws an auto attack after she wakes up and you're dead, but he did it anyway.
Hmm.
But it wasn't the fight we wanted. Like we thought that if I move up, then we're much stronger in the 4v4, and that we'd be able to secure those grubs, and it just didn't turn out that way. Um, and I think I don't even know if we get one of them here on the second kind of round 2 around the grubs.
Thinking of one at the end of it all, which is fine. And this similar story to game 2. I feel like Cavachungus was always in this game, but then it's just kind of zooming out, bigger picture, looking at the comps. It becomes so much tougher to play as the better team on the day because of that series win. Ultimately, it's tough to really stay in it, even though the gold lead is gold's pretty even. I feel like through a good chunk of this game, the Lux counter pick definitely came in handy with a solo killer too, keeping the OE down and really getting to farm up for free on that Lux is always nice. But a little bit of back and forth. The next moment I remember, around 225.30. No, that is jumping ahead a little bit. Just a lot of kills back and forth between the two teams because of the nature of the two comps. See some mid lane action breaking out.
Yeah, the move from the Mordekaiser here was very, very good for Misfits.
Yeah, I think,
Hmm.
I'm kind of curious how Misfits has the read on these plays, if it's a call beforehand as a whole team, or if it's one person, individually making those moves. We talked about the Soka roams, and then this Walliford roam really made the difference as well. As Chain CC comes down, just able to trade one back, but that's always going to be all one for one on the tail end there. That ends up being what, a 3-for-1 in the team fight, and crucially as well, getting this mid tower knocked down. When these two comps play similar poke pick styles, having that mid tower giving you access into enemy jungle is going to be really crucial, sort of first domino in terms of snowballing the rest of the game.
Yeah, 100% on that. He who has the mid tower for poke comps wins. So
Like that. Let's see. I know dragons were really going over the way of Misfits in this game three as well. They
yeah,
pick up the third Drake around 227.30 coming out of base. Golden Sunset was top lane with no TP. I don't know if the call was just to kind of look to concede this one or do some sort of soft contest, but
I can tell you the comms at this point. Golden opens top. He says, "I'm running top because Mordekaiser will go top." That's what he said, and so we said it's 4v4 on Drake. We can contest this, and then we saw Mordekaiser, and then we knew that it was a very losing play, and they just can run at us, and ended up catching out Joker there after the fact.
gotcha. Yeah, a little too late to run out. And you guys did trade the top tower back, but dropping two, or was it just dropping one?
it was one for
Uh,
one.
it was the
One
one,
for
but they also got onto Soul Point, and
Yeah, I think that
yeah,
was crucial.
just a fight that we didn't think we were getting that fight. I guess I'll say we thought we were getting an even fight, and couldn't get out fast enough when we realized that wasn't the case.
Yeah, okay, that makes
Hmm.
sense. Appreciate the insight there. Uh, Again, not too much happening in these later stages of the game. I think both teams with some good back and forth. I know Misfits picked up the Otacon uh, somewhere along the line, just I think because of good setup and really no need to contest it on the side of Capuchunga so late. But going to the next Drake about 233. This is the Soul Drake and the objective setup on the Misfits side. They're just able to get here earlier. Story of the series, getting there earlier, and then just because of that frontline difference, you see it on full display here. Skarner and Mordekaiser are able to kind of tank up a lot, let Lolcats and Soka fire, and then you're playing this kite back style very well. It's very close fight too.
This fight is so winnable, and I missed two hooks, and then it's just lost. Like, if the Blitzcrank doesn't hit the hook, it's so worthless, and it's a 4v5 basically. Like, if I land a single hook here, we win this fight so hard, I think, and we don't, or I don't rather, and I just kind of end my team that way.
Yeah, I mean it's tough through that front line though, right? Like that's just the beauty of Blitzcrank.
Live by the
High
hook, die.
highs, low lows.
Live by the hook, die by the hook.
Even so, I mean, Hook puts in some good work here with some clutch bubbles to get a few back, but it's just not enough, and they get the soul out of it.
Yeah, the fights. I mean, it really is that
This
that difference maker, right? When the games go late, it's always those little things like one more hook probably makes the difference there. Lets you guys get Drake. Great use of the flash there. Confidence on the Zoe, the real flash to just pull the trigger and have that extra damage. But Drake goes over, and once this team gets Infernal Soul, I think it's kind of wraps.
Infernal Soul is like the second worst Drake you want to see a poke comp get because it's just mindlessly just poke after poke after poke. I think the only one worse is like Ocean Soul because then they have unlimited mana and they're healing off all that poke, even if you get like an even trade.
Yeah, it's at this point in the game we kind of knew it was cooked, and we were just trying to like desperately like right there. Well, actually, right there, we didn't want to start Baron. By the way, I don't know if you can tell that ward is so carefully placed on the like you can't hit it. I zoomed in my client to like 500% so I could hit the ward, and then I didn't even see that I was getting run up on like, and I didn't even get the ward. Like I don't know how they placed that, but
That
that is such a good ward.
that is
It's
actually.
before Baron spawn, because I don't think it's possible to get it that
No, it's not.
close.
But it doesn't displace it. Like the drags kick the wards out of the way, but I guess Baron doesn't. Which I didn't even know.
I thought Baron did, but he might have just found like the perfect pixel to put it on. Cause yeah, I was thinking the same thing as Nexus is, had to have been placed before.
Place before Baron spawn, I just went zoomed back and checked on my end. Because I know that the other, annoying ward, the one I usually go for is the one in the back left of the pit. If you're gonna, little pro tip, if you're gonna place a ward on Baron pit from kind of the controlling side, if you can place it in that back left, it does make it just a little bit tougher to hit. Kind of having to zoom in to really click it, but
Oh, behind like
regardless,
Baron's
fun
head.
little ward. Yeah, right there.
That
Baron started up here.
Yeah, that is a personal favorite.
A nice spot. Think when is Baron started up? Eventually, Misfits are able to kind of crack it and
Yeah,
start up the Baron. I
they
think
started it right
236
after
50.
they picked me, but we managed to push them off of it, and then they could start it up again
Yeah.
after the Zoe got picked off in the bot side lane, and they knew they had Lux TP.
I actually just
Yeah,
noticed Blitz.
from heroics from Soka. That Lux just one shot Zoe and that was it.
That Blitzcrank ult doesn't get rid of the magic shield from the upgraded boots. That's interesting.
It doesn't. Huh.
At least it didn't look
I
like
thought
it there.
did. I thought maybe the Blitzcrank R was the one that actually procced the magic shield, maybe, but I wasn't.
Could
Because
be.
I
Right?
think it should break. It breaks Camille's passive.
Oh,
So, but it could just be like a bug with the boots or something.
yeah. Could. Yeah, you might be right. I might have just procced it after. But yeah, you guys. I will admit in this game 2 and game 3, you guys like kind of lost gracefully. Like you still made it very competitive overall.
Yeah, it like the games went long, and we kind of felt like we were fighting, but we really kind of had the feeling in both. Well, I don't know. I can't speak to game 2, but at least in game 3, it was like at this point, it was like we have probably lost. Like we need something to happen. Like they need to throw the game basically, and they didn't. Um, they closed it out pretty cleanly.
the
Aside from Misfits, I think this is the ending one.
the double skarner all got me.
Face off.
Yeah.
How do you guys treat these games where it's kind of lost and you have at least one, hopefully two more games to play? Because my teams just try to keep things really light. You just start laughing about stuff as you go for stuff. Obviously, easier said than done, but
Yeah.
any specific kind of way you try to treat those moments?
Well, right here we were screaming not to get Penta. That was the main
Oh, of
thing.
course.
But yeah, like normally we just kind of try and like our first thought is like, okay, what is our path? Like we never to our best efforts treat the game as if it's totally lost. Like it's like, okay, if we're gonna win the game from this position, what needs to happen? I will say in this one at this point we were pretty tilted, but we usually just want to like, yeah, I mean, look at this Silas TP. We just want to be really focused on the exact steps that are we need to do to have a chance, because we know that the game's kind of out of our hands, but we can still try our best to capitalize if the opponent makes any misplays. So yeah, that's usually our philosophy on huge losing games like this.
Yeah, not that it was like a huge losing
Oh,
game.
this one felt like it, but I know
Okay.
it wasn't really. Uh, but yeah, it just felt so rough.
I've been on those sides of the Blitzcrank games. It's in my head now too, honestly. Sometimes it is a good Blitzcrank game, and I just flash back to those moments, and it's like maybe we just go something like Nautilus here, a little more reliable. Uh,
Like I was coming in cold already, and then I started missing hooks, and I was just in my own head. Like I need to get off this champ. Like go to game 4 fast.
Fair enough. In game four, we go to Caitlyn first pick for Lolcats. I know that's been a comfort pick. You guys pretty much had the Echo Katarina bands the entire series, I believe.
We actually left Cat open for a couple games. We had the Caitlyn ban. This is the one where we let it through.
Hmm.
Um, the reason I'm trying to remember is because last series and our kind of traditional pick into the Katarina is the Ari, and we didn't have it, so we didn't feel as though we would have a great answer to it. So we kind of shifted the ban over that way, and yeah, they picked Caitlyn as we kind of expected them to.
Yeah, and really good draft out of you guys here, I think. Just stock standard front to back after the cook in game three, just going to a very reliable front to back team comp. Giving agency to Joker on Ash, damage for Pilk, and then damage elsewhere too with Fa. I feel like the way you guys win are usually just probably the best well-rounded team in the whole league in terms of how good everyone is. I feel like everyone has their own moments, but everyone on the Capachunga squad can win games and has been kind of the carrying factor in at least two games throughout the whole season. So I like this draft because it just is so balanced overall, which I think plays to your strengths. And then the answer from Misfits really is a bit lackluster. Not as tanky, not as consistent DPS out of the back line. I think that works well in this game four.
Yeah, I'll say after game 3, as I discussed, like we were kind of feeling a little bit rough. And both teams needed a little bit of a break after game 3, so we kind of just regrouped, discussed like, okay, what's our game plan? Like, Joker's like, just play around me, like I will carry, just draft something that lets me carry, and we just kind of did that. Like, no more cooking with these random picks. Like, let's just get her done in draft.
And in game, I mean, the Ash, with the Caitlyn, I'm not necessarily a fan of Ash as like a hyper carry when you think of like, give me something that can carry, but into Caitlyn, I feel like there's only so much you can pick to reliably hold your own in lane. So I like the Ash pick. Pairs well with the Lulu as well. Lets Joker kite back, and then the Scion, the Wukong, and the Syndra all being able to buy space. It did work out well. I think Joker ended up dropping double-digit kills in this game on the cusp of elimination too. So
Yeah,
hats off. Love to hear that confidence.
he's not. Like, Ash isn't traditionally a hyper carry, but it is his most played champ by far. And
Mm.
I think this might have been the first game it was open. I'm not totally sure, but we knew it was open. It's like just slam it down, like pick his champion, and we will find a way to make it work.
Yeah,
Call.
I really like Pilk being on something a little more proactive, a little more lane centric.
Yeah. How do you like the? I really like Syndra into Ori. I don't know if you have thoughts on that too, CLT.
Uh,
No, it's relatively even, but
I think it's kind of up to Ori to keep the pressure up on Syndra. So if the Ori side of the matchup feels comfortable, she can get a little bit of a lead. But Ori at the end of the day is just kind of on a timer, so it's up to what you surround her with. Which I really actually did like both team comps out of this draft. I just felt like the only thing that would have been that's kind of a feels bad is you're putting a lot of shielding and utility around an 80 carry that's gonna basically be set up to carry the game. Caitlyn's not the champion that wants to do that. So having Wukong Scion diving into her. She's she's got to play like really safe, really worried, even with all of her range and the traps that try and create space. So, but yeah, no, Syndra's perfectly okay in the Ori if you're comfortable with the matchup. If not, there's some good Oris that can be quite annoying early.
Yep. I think as for what you're talking about with the Caitlyn, I think with Caitlyn Milio, they are really strong in sort of the like level 3 to 6 range just because they do have that crazy range and can just poke down and harass. But you know they're going to get outscaled by our side, and they're also pretty weak at level 1. So we knew if we can just get them low and like make their lives miserable during the lane, that we will be able to be more effective as the game goes on.
That brings up a point I kind of want to talk about too. If we go to like 311, because nothing too much happens in the early game, you guys actually call for a lane swap here. And I believe I don't really recall any other team doing that throughout the year of gameplay here. Soka able to get the better of Pilk in the mid lane during this, but lane swap is called. You want to walk us through kind of the thinking there?
For sure. It's actually something that we discussed pretty heavily. Oh my god, I'm such a pig. Sorry. Um, Something that we talked about pretty heavily in Game 3, because obviously, as I discussed earlier, the Silas matchup into Mordekaiser is pretty rough. So we were saying, look, Golden, like, if at any point this is too much and you feel losing, like, we will just call for the lane swap and we'll do it. I think we kind of forgot about that into Game 3, so this was another kind of point for us in Game 4. Like, Sion into Shen is pretty rough for Sion, and we'll be able to really harass the. Oh, I die here, by the way. Really harass the Shen if we do the lane swap, and Sion doesn't care. I mean, he's just going to catch waves. So we knew we could really open up the map and create some huge advantages for us calling for the lane swap.
Doesn't it honestly doesn't work out as well as maybe theorized. I do like the lane swap. I like the call here. You know, do it around the first Drake, move your bot lane up. Sion, like you said, is in a lane swap situation. Sion's the top laner you want to have because he's always going to be able to farm safely. But then just maybe a slight misexecution on the dive makes you fall down, and then bot lane gets collapsed on by some more good roams from Soka and how I met my ADC. So I think this lane swap in this game not really going as intended, but I like the thinking behind it, and I believe it comes up in the next game as well to more success, to more avail with actually converting that into successful dives and objectives takes. So I thought that was something kind of cool to see, especially out of in the playoffs here, something we haven't seen too much of really any team, and something that is still pretty relevant in terms of meta options, pulling off the lane swap. So hats off to you guys for doing that in 2 games.
Yeah, I think the lane swap uh, would work perfectly here. Like, it's the perfect situation. I mean, I just made like a terrible play on the dive to get caught, and then there was a bit of a comms issue. Like, we knew the Orianna and the Warwick were there, but Ash was really focused on the plate, I guess, and then ended up dying for it. So we handed over 2 grubs. I think, you know, if we play that as we expect ourselves to play that, we get the kill on the Shen, and then we get all 3 grubs. So yeah, as you mentioned, it didn't turn out like the way we would have loved it to, but I think even then, we open up into the swap again. I think at this point, it's much better for us now.
You're still sitting comfortably on gold, still all the same situations we kind of touched on. It's a lot easier for Sion to farm than it is Shen, specifically in these 2v1 matchups. I think Joker playing range pretty well to kind of poke Shen away. So works on the second go around as well. See Foe with some action in the mid lane. This was a 2v2, yeah. And this is where I like Syndra over Ori. I feel like unless the Ori has really great setup, I like how Syndra matches up. I feel like Syndra will just have more damage eventually, and
Yeah.
just easier to execute damage, especially in limited number scenarios, whether that's 1v1 or 2v2. I think it's just a little easier to play on the Syndra side of things.
Yep. Ori's on a big, big timer.
I mean, I see what they were going for with the Warwick Oriana. It's a comp that's actually we've played into before, although last time was an Oriana support. Um, but I think it just maybe wasn't a ton of comfort there. I know or it's actually sorry, actually Christmas. Soka has played the Oriana before, I believe. Um, but I don't think maybe it's a combo that they've played in scrims or in practice, but not in a game yet. I don't believe, and so I think us getting Syndra Wukong, which we have played before, um, made the ease of execution a lot easier on our side.
There's a
Yeah,
lot of
not the nitpick too, but I don't know if was Nocturne open because that would have been super
Not
pick
we
here.
thought Nocturne was gonna get picked when we're like, oh crap, like they're
Oh.
doing Nocturne
Yeah,
already. So I think they must not um, have a ton of experience on it because we totally were like, oh my god, we are open to this, and it is like a pretty good angle
that,
for it
that
too.
would have been scary. Yeah, but it works out well. I mean, I feel like the Warwick Orialt combo, it's there, but it's not going to be as
Well, it's not a point and
easy
click,
to
so
execute. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Uh,
there's a lot of disruption to stop this Warwick from doing what he wants to, as well.
mhm.
Yeah, the whole time I'm commenting to Joker that um like he doesn't need to flash Warwick ult. Lulu is very, very good. He can Lulu can just ult the carry whoever Warwick ults and insta cancel it and then poly him right after. Like it's pretty unplayable for Warwick. So we knew that the potential for picks there from Warwick wasn't as strong as it could have been.
Mm. Yep.
This game had a lot of back and forth. Through the mid game. Feel like stayed pretty even. And I think Warwick actually got a little bit off the ground in terms of getting on the map and getting a few kills, but not enough as objective play on your guys' side. I think was just a bit better. Getting some drakes, getting some towers. I'd like to jump ahead to like 325-40. I think a lot of outers are taken. That's kind of what we're skipping through. As you guys got Rift Herald, use that for the mid lane outer. All these other outers were taken just due to better play. And then I believe that was like when I remember some action happening around the Otacon.
yeah, this play they opened on us mid with using a lot of cooldowns on myself and Ash, and they got us pretty low and chased us out, but they didn't get a single kill, and they used a lot of cooldowns like Ori ult, Caitlyn ult, Millia ult, Warwick ult, Shen ult. They used all 5 ults on us, and then right after that play, they opened straight onto Otacon, which I think they're not allowed to do. And we recognized that right away. We said, look, just base, run towards Otacon. They cannot do this. And I think it's just a bit of an overforce from them, and it ends up being really good for us.
Yeah, I felt like they tried to open up a lot of like Shen ults directly in the Warwick ults. They just weren't able to capitalize or catch you guys out on those.
Yeah, it was really close, I'll say. Like Lulu, Ash, Syndra all fell pretty low on their first engage, but I think for them, once they don't get the picks or the cooldowns from us, they can't do the Otacon, and I think them they kind of made a half play by contested at the end, and it just gave us a bunch of kills and really snowballed our lead.
Yep.
I mean, objective bounties come online. This point of the game, you have this 6K gold lead just 23 minutes in, especially on a better scaling comp. It's it's looking very good for Capuchungus. It's pretty much sealed. Uh, you're then first to objectives, getting setups there. Trying to zoom ahead. I don't think there's any real big fight until the end because Misfits know that they aren't necessarily in a spot to contest, so they're not committing too hard. But that's just giving over objectives. So you guys stack up onto Soul Point, onto Soul, and then eventually the Baron. And from there, it's pretty easy to just walk it on down. Did we see the Well, no spoilers, but I
Yeah,
think
I think it's right here.
there we go. Yeah, this is what we want to see.
Actually, maybe no. I think
Oh no, it
yeah,
was
okay, it was
earlier. Let's
earlier
go back.
actually.
We got to
Yeah,
show the highlight. I have it as at 3:32, so a little before all this breaks out.
yeah. I think we went to drag after it, maybe.
That's right. Yeah. So at this point, at soul point, and then we can let the clip roll. Getting set up around mid lane. Joker looks to be maybe a bit caught out, but the call is to go on to the Lulu,
Yeah, surprised me.
and then Ash just starts firing.
Big Turner.
Yeah, I said this champ couldn't be a hyper carry, huh?
It's when Joker Fuji's on it, anything can happen. But
There you go.
I think they really surprised. I didn't use any of my cooldowns when they jumped on me with their combo. Like I really thought they were going for Ash. He looked super caught. They decided to go for me, and he could just kind of click at them and get a pentakill. So it ended up being pretty good.
Yeah, and a playoff penta too. It's always hype, and this was pretty much game. You guys turned that into the Soul in a minute, Baron a little bit after that, and then I believe it's just walked in. That's where the video feed was at earlier.
Yeah.
Just had to obviously show off that penta because
Yep.
good moment from Joker.
Third one of the split, if my memory's correct.
Yeah, I
That
think
sounds right.
Lolcats had one, and I believe Bird had one
Yeah.
on Bane, I think, and Lolcats was on Caitlyn, as far as I can remember.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Um, I'll say it's our first pentakill in LoL Midwest. I think Golden could have had one in the Sweat League last split, but we were too excited to get the win. He ended up with the Quadra. But we were pretty excited when he got the penta.
Imagine that's a good little mental shift too, as well, going into game five. As this one was
Oh.
pretty much all draft.
Oh
Yeah,
my
Looking at
lord.
it, and
Fearless kind of reared its head. I think the champs had kind of run out.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a fearless diff. Because I mean, I have no issues with Misfits draft up until the Samir.
I
I
don't
think
love
they were
Morgana.
really looking Tristana. That ban on four, that fourth ban, I think was crucial because I have never seen Lolcats play Samira. I'm pretty sure they've had a few Tristana games before, and then yeah, Samira just doesn't do much. But Morgana mid too. I'll let you give your spiel on that, Campbell.
Yeah, I think it's useless. I mean, I think Morgana, especially this patch that we were playing on, was pre-Morgana buffs. They did buff her damage on her W, I believe, a little bit last patch, but that hadn't gone into effect yet. We kind of knew it was, or we didn't. As soon as Alistar came down, we knew it was Morgana mid. We thought it might be like at least support Morgana jungle at first, um, but we looked at champ pools. Like no one played those champs. As well, you mentioned the Tristana ban. We looked through the drafts that they had done in the league. Shout out Pens for posting those. And we saw that, Lolcats had locked the Tristana a few times, and it would make perfect sense with their comp to go kind of a pick related, jump on someone dive comp. And so we just hit the ban there. Same with the Malphite ban. That Malphite terrorized us in the last series in Game 3. And I think it made the draft just very, very winning for us.
Yeah, this was.
Especially when you guys look at your comp, Jarvan, Galio, Rakan to follow up, Sivir scaling. I mean, you have enough damage, even with just the Sivir, because it is maybe a bit of a low damage comp on Capachunga's side, but then you look over at Misfits and you realize this Sivir is going to be able to free hit so easily, and then there's just more damage even on the lower damage characters between the Jarvan and the Galio compared to the Elise Morgana. That AP mid jungle too, that's just a free Merc Treads game. And unless this Kled just goes thicko mode, it's gonna be a pretty easy silver scrape scenario, which it ended up being.
Yeah, we knew. Well, we knew the only way for us to lose this game is if this Kled goes pretty crazy into the Cho'Gath. We knew it was probably coming. But yeah, I mean, I was surprised we didn't see Soka play Katarina. We did
Yeah,
draft the Galio exclusively to
thinking
prevent it.
that.
So maybe that was why we know that Galio will just destroy Katarina. Um, and then once, yeah, I think the draft just became very easy after that.
Yeah, because even still, I think the Morgana, was probably it's not even picked as a flex. I can't wrap my head around it because you should always be. you- I don't get one twoing an AP mid jungle, and then the Galio comes through, and now you're mid jungle AP into Galio. Like this would have been a very easy opportunity to slam down. I'm sure Soka had it in his pocket. We've talked about how he plays these assassins. I'm sure there was an AD assassin somewhere in there that, while risky, would be a little more reliable than the Morgana. But you take away any flex option with the Morgana by blocking the Alistar and then Samira on 4 into such easily cancelable enemy champions.
That's what
It's
hurt
really
me.
tough not to hone in on the draft.
Yeah, I think gameplay aside, this game was won in draft for us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Samir cannot play this game at all.
Yeah, I think first we can jump into game though. Trying to shift gears. 357 is where the first action really breaks out. It's around this first Drake. Things are pretty even beforehand. You're pretty comfortable scaling up on the Capuchungus squad, and then they're at least not necessarily getting anything done in these first 5 minutes. Not unexpected, but it's again
This play was
first the
crazy.
Drake. If it was, it got very wild. This is just where it starts. I know it branches out a little further. TP coming in super
It's
early.
crazy.
Was there a call to have Golden look to TP down?
Um, no, I think we we knew we had like total control uh of the. I think I live here.
Yeah, the heal comes through just in time, and then you flash out on like so little HP. Elise tanks the tower shot. Now the Cho'Gath TP's in
Yeah,
because
that,
obviously they're still in the area. But
um, yeah, the TP from Kled really surprised. We thought they were just gonna give. We had total control over the map, and the Kled TP was just like wow. Like we did not. Like they, I mean, they must have known their draft is pretty tough that they were on like a crazy timer to have Kled get accelerated. So I guess that's what they were looking towards. But I mean, as soon as that play doesn't work for them, like it is extremely rough situation for Red Side here.
you're TPing in everyone bot. Maybe if they get you on that dive, that looks a little different. I do think your point is kind of the thought behind it is, oh, we have to get it. We have Elise Kled, and our comp kind of stinks. I'm sure they could recognize that too. So just looking for a play early, and it did almost work. They picked off the Jarvan and almost picked off the Rakan, and that would have probably been enough for them to walk out with a 2-for-0 trade. But good response coming in from KCD. The Galio ulti was available, and then the Cho'Gath TP down to help secure the chain CC.
Yeah, once that first sequence happens, I feel like this game is just kind of done with because you start to see how these comps interact with each other, and just the Samira offers nothing. Morgana solo damage. I mean, it's just yeah,
Yeah, this is
Not a
where you see the
really.
swap come in too for
Okay.
yeah.
the bot lane, and this one works out very well, doing it on the Grubs timer. Obviously, both sides are swapping, so good response from Misfits, but this bot lane 2v2 of Sivir Rakan is always going to have the shove into Alistar Samira, and then that is a pretty simple transition into the 3 Grubs. Just another early game objective, so I'm going to point that out as well.
Yeah, I think one of the key things around swaps is that you make sure that you're dictating the tempo. So even though they do match us on the swap, we're there first. We get the push in the lane and the easy control over the grubs. We also um, I mean, we know that our lane is winning. Like Samira Alistar has some potential, but they're already behind, and like we know that we can shut down this like Samira ult really easily. Um, so she can really never get off the ground, and so the swap ended up being very good, even though they did match it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not too much to really go over here. Sivir just ended up getting pretty far ahead off of, the swaps, the objectives, a few kills here or there. We can jump to like 412, or I think it's Otacon timer. So that's a good little mid jungle 2v2. Yeah, so you can see, I mean, just slowly picking up kills here or there. It's 9-3 by this point in. And I think this is maybe Misfits trying to get something back, pull the trigger onto the Jarvan, who's able to get out
Bounce house.
because there's not much damage there. And then, yeah, it's a tough watch if you're a Misfits enjoyer.
Kind of a funny thing that happens here with me and the Samira. She's just sitting in that bush. We all calm. Like there's a Samira sitting in this bush alone, waiting for me to show my like 1 HP self, maybe get some reset action going. Because already the team fight is much like they blew everything, and then the Jarvan ult, the Rakan W, the Galio R, the Galio AoE taunt, like Rakan ult, like it's just I don't even see how they can play, um, and that's how it goes.
Yeah. And, after this, the game, we never like to call games over, but based off everything we talked about, this is about as done and dusted as you can get. So, game 5 win coming in for Capachungus, pushing us the distance. How are you feeling going into finals week?
Um, Feeling better than we were going into semifinals. I'll tell you that. I think we're pretty comfortable. We do have obviously our 6-man roster, which we utilized in this series. I don't think we'll have to in finals. Unfortunately, I think Timo's Coochie's out, uh, but we'll see. I think we're really happy with how we played in the last 2 games. Maybe the last one wasn't super gameplay showcase or anything, but um, I think we've genuinely gotten a lot better than we were last time. We played Bop It in week 1 and we got 2-0'd, but I think our form has just improved a lot and we're pretty happy going into it. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and I do like the switch of Golden in the top lane. I feel like as much as I like Golden at 80 carry and the micro there is insane, I think Joker is a relatively lateral move from everything I've seen out of the 6-man there. And then Timo's Coochie, I think if I were to put a weak point on the Capachunga squad, it would be that top laner in some of those games. We've seen him have some highlight moments on some things like the Nasus and the Yorick, really developing some good wins from the side lane. But overall, just based off this series, a lot more consistency coming out of Golden Sunset. So I think that keeps your guys' squad well rounded, and it'll be a fun matchup against the Bop It boys.
Yeah, no disrespect to Timos, but I think our champ pool gets a lot bigger with our new look, and we actually thought about. I don't think we're going to, but doing a CFO kind of deal where we have our 2 top laners for different, like, oh, maybe Timos can play
Throw him in for a Nasus game or a
yeah,
Yorick
Nasus game, and then when we need our tanks, we go back to Golden. But I don't think we're gonna do that. I think we'll just roll with this. Um, yeah, I think, as you mentioned, we're just a lot more well-rounded now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that means I gotta give 6 skins now.
Hey, maybe you only have to get 5.
Yeah.
We'll see when the games are played.
Yeah.
Who wins?
Well, I think it goes to 5 either way.
I hope so.
So.
This was really fun. Like,
Yeah.
Fearless going to 5 is just like, I mean, obviously it ended up one-sided for us, but I think it's just like really cool the strategy that goes into the drafting and all the different champs you get to see. I think Fearless is great for that. So I hope it goes to 5.
Yep. I'm with you with that. I was a little hesitant on saying 5 games in a lower skill bracket league, but it's just like, you know what, it's 2 series. Screw it. So, but yeah, I'm excited to see finals. I know you do have to go, correct?
I can stick around if you want me to. It seems the Doombots game has fallen through, so I do have some free time on my hands here. If you
Ooh.
want to keep me around, I obviously didn't play in the next series, but I am free.
Um, I mean, it's totally up to you. But the series was great, and I think the other semifinals, I didn't get to catch like all of it as much as I wanted to. I was kind of on vacation, so
Man.
yeah, I know I was a little active in chat, but I think I missed like game one, game two, but I caught 3 and 4 going over. I think that's a fairly solid transition there to go over to Bop It, Twist It, Gank It versus Team Solid in our other semifinal here. What
The way this matchup would go, Campbell?
Sorry?
Did you have thoughts on the way this matchup would go?
Yeah, in my prediction, I had Boppet winning. Just based on kind of our games against both teams. Not like really any super crazy reasons behind it. I didn't expect the huge banger we got out of game one, to be honest, but you know, we'll let that one play out. I think I was also surprised. I predicted before knowing Buffa would have 2 E-subs, so that did change the dynamics a little bit. I was kind of expecting Christmas Music to have a little bit of a showcase because they've been just like a standout player for Bop It through the whole split. They didn't play, but I think it's who they got, Honda Crasher, I believe the name was,
yes,
did a suitable job in their stead, and yeah.
and Pens and support as well.
And was a very nice pickup for them as well. Obviously, don't know how much Thordle typically adds, but Pens with some pretty good laning paired up with Susan nicely, and I feel like the shot calling effect that he's a bit known for was rearing its head a bit too in terms of how these late games played out and how Bop It was moving around the map.
Yes, he has a very very big voice in any team he plays.
Yeah, this first game was long. I was honestly a bit nervous just because of how long it went. I was scared for the rest of the series, but entertaining nonetheless. As a lot of good action coming out of Team Solid early on. Like they were really running the early game. Cyanic Acid and Souls getting involved on the map, and seeing some early game volley bear action come out worked well for them. I think they were at one point up like 4-0 in terms of kills, but gold never really too far out of reach. I think see we can take a look at the second Drake about 37 minutes in. There was a lot of bot lane prio, Sivir, Lulu just able to comfortably get the push there. And so second Drake went over to Team Solid. They were really good at stacking these early objectives. And then Cyanic pulling the trigger for this squad, able to pick up a kill on the backside, and I think they're actually able to get 2 by the end of it all. But this was really looking good for Solid early on because it jumped out to, regardless of the early kill lead, the early objective lead, because you look at these comps and it's probably going later. I don't think anybody was expecting our longest game of the Rec League splits, but getting those early dragons stacked up seemed to be a good sign for Solid.
Yeah, definitely. I was expecting the Cog Milio to really dominate the lane, but I think there was a bit of a miscue from Kog'Maw. Susan kind of hitting the turret, I think maybe with the camera looking elsewhere, really ended up the Sivir got a kill from it, and then they kind of controlled the lane from there, and could run the bot side of the map and grab some of these dragons early.
Yeah, I remember that. I think it was like a Grubs fight, and Kog'Maw was just AFK, camera elsewhere, giving over a free kill. Sucked to see, but part of the game, and it worked out well for the bottom lane of Team Solid.
And I mean, from this point, I was expecting Solid to kind of scale pretty smoothly. Like, you do know like that Sivir is just going to be a wave clear machine and be able to grab Prio in whatever lane she goes to through the mid game and late game. So it was a bit of a surprise to me the way this game turned, but yeah, we can kind of go forward from here.
First, like I said, 3 of Dragons over to Team Solid. We go to about 47 minutes in, kind of see Boppet start to fight their way back in. It's 5-2. There's a little bit of a lead for Team Solid. More importantly, those 3 Drakes. You can kind of take a look at the map state. Souls has been doing good, and then bot lane tier 1 taken, top lane tier 1 taken. I believe I'm okay on this timestamp. Yeah, maybe a little bit early there, but some action around the river here. Maybe a bit of an aggressive invade. Cyanic once again pulling this trigger. I'm not sure how I feel about the tank volley bear. Do you guys have thoughts on that one?
I mean, I think Bruiser's a little more threatening. I don't. I don't think Volibear does anything, past like the 25-30 minute mark against, like, say, a Cogmilio, regardless of the build. But I think Tank is okay. Creates a lot of space for Sivir and Syndra to work into, and it's also kind of a Bash Brother dive buddy with Renekton, if played correctly. So I don't know. I feel like Volibear can just absolutely just go to ultimatebravery.com and play the game, because it seems
Yeah,
like he can just build anything.
that's what I was about to say. Like, I have no idea what Volibear can build. Like, AP, Bruiser, Tank, like whatever, Flicker Blade. But I don't love the tank. I think if you're gonna pick a tank jungler, you should pick a tank jungler. Like, really late game, despite the tank build, the Volibear was just kind of getting shredded and not providing a ton of value. So I think, I don't have a draft on me here, but I think a Sejuani or something like that would have been a little more effective if that's the role you're trying to play with the jungler.
If Volibear, when it doesn't bring any damage, just looks like a Timu version of Vi, and I'm like, I don't, just it does nothing.
Yeah, it was
Un-
pretty rough.
Unstoppable ultimate, and then
It
like
shuts
a
up.
half-second stun instead of a 1-second suppression.
It turns off the tower, I guess. I mean, that's about its only redeeming quality, but I don't know. Volibear just I never know when it's good, and every time it's like, oh, this could be a Volibear spot. Then there's like 2 or 3 champions that do just something better. Even as Campbell noted, like, if you're gonna build tank, just pick a freaking tank. Like, if you want a Bash Brother with Renekton, and you want to be able to create space, Zac is like really, really good here.
I like that call,
Uh,
especially when you know the other side's relatively tanky. But we can jump to, obviously, this game 1 went very long, so can jump to all my timestamps and start going through that. About an hour into the VOD, we have a very crazy Dragon Dance. You could rewind even further as well. Yeah. Uh, so both teams kind of getting set up. They had Haunted Crasher on the Mel, matching the Renekton a lot. I thought that was pretty interesting and honestly made sense because it's tough for Renekton to close that gap. But here's just a crazy Dragon Dance. This is where I think, having Pens as a voice was maybe helpful. And, I don't know who's the main kind of caller on the side of Solid. I heard Seven does some shot calling. That's always tough to do from the AD carry role. This is just this crazy back and forth between both of these teams. I think everyone fishing, but this Leandri's Maokai kind of excels in situations like this.
Yeah, it's if Leandri's Maokai is allowed to play these fights like super zone control and slow. God, this sapling's get freaking annoying.
Hmm. And there's this mid back and forth that Boppet is able to seize control over and eventually turn it into Drakes. Boppet was really able to stack these Drakes back, and I think it's because of how they were navigating themselves around objectives. And obviously that's facilitated by the Maokai a lot. But I felt like that was really the difference in this game one was how Boppet were able to kite out solid and really drag them all over. We see a Baron start up here to try to answer back, but it's more desperation to me.
Yeah, I think in both of these kind of objective dances, like Team Solid just gets very poked down, and they're both throwing abilities at each other, but Bop It, like Pens does a great job at keeping everyone relatively healthy, and then the Sivir or the Lulu gets pretty dangerously low or in lethal, and they have to cede uh, the objective, and that happened just on that dragon, and then on this Baron call as well, which I didn't love.
Yeah. Do we want to go to 104 now? Hour 4.
Yeah.
The Baron is warded off successfully. Some action around the mid lane now. Boppet was just always able to get the push over this mid lane, and that helped them kind of have their way with objectives. Sivir Syndra, though, plenty of wave clear to keep this game going long.
Yeah. Mm, it just comes down to like the mages for me. Like the across the board, the comps are pretty even as far as what they want to do, even position for position. But Syndra's always going to outscale Mel. Mel's just like one of the worst scaling mages in the game, to be honest. And this again, this double lost chapter Mel build, it just doesn't
Zero
work.
damage.
It does 0 damage. Yeah.
No Rabadons and 4 items. It's no pen either. I just don't see what the Seraphs adds to the build here.
I
Yeah.
love Susan here.
Oh wait.
Rise.
Oh, hold on. What is that? The Syndra ult. Oh
Yeah,
my.
barely getting the Syndra ulti off. If Garzok didn't get that off, that
Oh.
that was probably game right there.
Oh. Yeah. Syndra gameplay there.
Oh, I mean, Kog'Maw gameplay as well. He just stood his ground and blat, blat, blat.
Yeah.
Had cozy campfire, and
The
Runan's
Cog-
taken over as well.
Cogmilio dangerous. You might not notice he's sitting so far back with the W range and the melee of the campfire as well, but he is churning out 10% max health on every single hit, just going crazy. So
Mm-hmm.
got to keep that in mind when you're playing against a combo like that.
Oh my. Yeah. I wonder because like the Cogmelio is like the caster curse special. I wonder if Penn's talked him into pulling this out.
They played
I know
against us.
Susan typically plays like super late game carries. We see the Sivir come out a lot. We've seen like Zeri before. Expecting some Jinx as well. That'll be something to look at, both the rest of this series and in our upcoming finals as well. But Kog'Maw kind of fits the bill of that. And next timestamp I have is 108.30. Just kind of, by this point of the game, past 40 minutes, all these are just, crazy team fights, usually around objectives. Slight misposition here or there is going to give the edge over to either team. But these fights were all really close. I mean, no one really substantially winning. And that's part of why this game went so long. Devin, some really aggressive positioning there, forced to cleanse.
Mm.
You
It's
see
just
Kog'Maw just hitting.
it's just 80 carry, 80 carry versus 80 carry in these fights.
Volibear's just not doing anything.
Yeah.
He's just hitting and hitting and hitting, and nothing's happening. Meanwhile, Maokai is like CC peel machine, and Kog'Maw just gets the free hit because of it.
I mean, Kog'Maw has Jack Show and Terminus as well, so like it did
Oh.
tanky Kog'Maw. And that's with the Maokai peel and with the Melio peel. Very comfortable game for Susan.
Jeez Louise,
That
yeah.
that was a little fight. We're still dead even on gold, 45 minutes in. Next little fight was about 5 minutes from now at 113.40. Just all this back and forth continuing. I believe, yeah, Boppet picked up both the Baron and the Soul. And then this Elder fight breaks out. And it goes pretty well for Boppet.
Yeah, you got the pick on the jungler there. Just oh, good lord.
And it's so much damage from the Sivir and the Kog'Maw on both sides. If either can get on top of each other, it looks good.
I just seen Penn's health bar just get deleted, and I'm like, you're not even on the screen to Sivir. Like, Ricochet,
Bounces, yeah.
yeah, Ricochet just went super hard there.
I'm not sure that Team Solid should start the Elder without their jungler alive. I don't think this is the right call.
I don't think that's a wise move either. I agree.
Oof. Wow.
I have to imagine the call was to go for a turn. Uh, you're never really going to flip that, but with Duffy on the backside, yeah, they got rolled here. And this was for sure. I think Campbell was in the chat with agreeing opinions. They should have ended here.
Yeah, I mean, you've aced the other team. You have 3 alive with Baron and Elder. And, like, you have your Kog'Maw. Like, you can just click forward here and ignore this Volibear. He does nothing. And just click on towers. I'm not sure why the call was to back off. But the game could have ended a lot sooner than it actually did, I think.
This is I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Like, no one's even respawning. I don't know.
Yeah, Lulu in 15 seconds. I was a little bit annoyed here, honestly. But I feel like at this part of the season, these teams should kind of know what's up and know how to navigate these late game fights. Because you also, in these late game situations, you don't know if you're gonna have another chance. Um, we go to 120. Since they weren't able to end, here we go 5 more minutes, and the game was continuing, and without those two super strong game-ending buffs, it's a lot tougher to break through the wave clear of Sivir Syndra.
Yeah, it just felt like needless. Like, one clutch smite or team fight gone wrong at this point, and you've lost the game. And I don't think it was necessary. But they didn't get punished for it in the end.
Wait, we talk about the losing, absolute, like, devastating losing to Shopkeeper on the Syndra build here.
Yeah, well, we'll get into it in the future games, but I think there's a lot of losing to Shopkeeper moments throughout this series. I'm not one to flame builds a lot, but
I am.
there's a few decisions here that oh, I know. I think there's a few decisions here, and I'll bring them up as we get there, that are just a little confusing.
Dude, you got a Terminus and Jack show on a Cogmall, and there's no percentage pen item. There's no death cap either. Oh, this hurts me. Oh.
Yeah, the no death cap on mages, that's the big one that triggers me. It's like you get to 6 items. I'm like, why don't you want to increase your damage by so much? I don't know.
Syndra gets like a mini death cap on her completed passive too. She's one of the few mages that can get upwards of like almost 800 to 900 AP. And a W does true damage.
Yeah, I think also the Volibear build here, it went, I think, Frozen Fist, Sunfire, Frozen Heart, into a comp that has like Maokai, Mel, Cog, and Milio all doing primarily magic damage. So like, I'm not sure about that. The Force of Nature came out way too late. And either the Renekton or the Volley are upgrading their 2 boots. I have a hard time believing Renekton doesn't have enough gold at this point to do it, so maybe they were just unaware.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, I see that now. I'm slowly piecing this game together. This is the one I did not catch.
Easy, man.
Yeah,
The
I heard.
hype, right? Like it's a fun game one, but man, Duffy securing the smite there prevents this one from going over to solid as well. Because if they got that elder, that may have bounced right back in their favor.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was feeling a bit bad for you here, Nexus. I thought, oh my god, like, is this how the whole series is gonna go? Like, your voice is done. But
Did you hear the straining in these last team fights? Like
oh
it's
yeah, I mean,
obviously you got to try to like bring the volume and the energy because it's late game, but
no,
oh
exactly.
man.
When there's such a game-deciding fight, it seems like every 3 minutes, like you're gonna have the excitement and the energy in your voice, and it's gonna take its toll when it goes that long.
No percentage pen item on Mel. Oh, this hurts me. I'm gonna shut up.
Well, I'll bring
Don't
another
shut
one
up.
up for you.
Let him
Someday.
hear it.
Yeah, game four, I'll bring up some builds for you. We'll see.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, this game continues. It's just more and more. And without Baron, no team can really break through one another. Comfortable trading back and forth. I think 125-30 is our final little moment there. Baron spawns and Baron's at like 20k HP, but inside track is obtained from Boppet, I think just due to pushing the Lulu off earlier. Uh, see Lulu no sums. Yes, they were able to push Lulu off earlier. Start this one up, and then the approach from Cyanic is maybe a bit over eager. Gets caught out, and I think this is finally it.
Nice redemption.
Yeah, those Sivir ricochets were hitting too, but
Jeez.
ultimately Kog'Maw standing tall.
Well, the Chem Soul is just, and the 4 straight Chem Drakes with Emilio, like, just able to keep his team alive so effectively.
Yeah, I think the Drakes were crucial because if Chemtech Soul goes over to Boppet, if they're able to just get one more Drake there, that Volibear and Renekton are maybe just a little more tankier too. And we've seen Renekton like dive into the backline 1v4, 1v5 sometimes and stay alive for a few seconds, but ultimately get shredded. That may have been the difference maker if they were able to get one more. But well played to Boppet, getting the setup around objectives, playing around that Kog'Maw pretty well in multiple of these super late game stage fights. This was a 200,000 gold game.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, I've seen that very few times in my career, all my years of playing League. So, yeah, this game one was something.
Yeah. Well, let's go over to game 2 here. We see another Vi Ari. Oh, this was the ASOL game.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think you caught this one. Just super scaling from the side of Solid. Maybe a little
I
bit of recency bias with
I
the game one results.
I felt like this was the most like not team solid draft that you could ever pick. Because like when we've discussed this team before, and maybe Campbell can chime in. Like solid, they don't pick the hardest comps to pilot, but they put together really like almost set play drafts where like you have the Amumu, you have the Misfortune. It's you just kind of know drafting against them what they're going to bring out. Nothing's going to surprise you, but it's still on you to beat it. And just them going, virtually 2, 3 like very reserved, very do nothing kind of lanes is just not. It's not something I would have associated with them, and it really makes the jungler's job like just insanely hard.
Yeah, I'm never, ever a fan of drafting 3 losing lanes, and that's what happened here. It's a mistake that my team has made before in scrims, where we get really excited by the idea of scaling, like, oh, hey, look, it's the Rec League. We just went 60 minutes last game. Like, surely ASOL, Ornn, like, that goes crazy here. But, like, Cyanic Acid is just asked to do the impossible here and cover 3 lanes at once to make sure that they're able to play, and it's just not possible, I don't think, unless the other team makes some mistakes and lets them scale faster.
I just yeah.
Ungankable too. Like Can't even
Like
try to
I would
purpose something here.
I would argue that even with the addition of Garzak, like she's a very very talented, very versatile mid. I mean, Souls has shown he's one of the top two tops in the league. Like putting both of them on such reserve picks, like someone in this team has to be proactive on the map, and you just didn't draft any of it.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to draft a winning lane somewhere that your jungler can reliably go and get sums, get a kill, and create map pressure. Because otherwise, like in what happened in this game, Boppet will just dictate everything that happens on the map on their terms, and you haven't scaled yet, so you just can't match it. And yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm never as an ASOL merchant and enjoyer. I would not want to pick that into RE5.
It's a great comp out of Boppet as well. Like
Mhm.
beautiful dive setup. You look at those four members, Vi Ari, we touched on that in our first series, how great of a combo that is, and then, following that up with more just point and click follow up. Kaisa, Galio, both pretty strong champions as well. I think good call from the draft of Boppet, and really lets him get ahead into the super scaling comp. So well executed on their end. We can look for the first Drake fight here. It's about 2 minutes from now, 2:07. You know, see, maybe jumped it a little bit there, but I think rewind just a tad. We get Team Solid on the Drake first. They're still able to get bot lane prio just with the double range, so it's an okay bottom lane, but it's still not a winning bottom lane, as winning as hard as you want. They transition this into Drake, but they don't have mid prio, so Honda Crasher's first here, and now you're stuck in the pit. No Jinx flash, and you're kind of just getting corralled as Vi is just able to walk right through ASOL, and then they pick up a nice 2 kills here, even though they do lose the Drake.
Oh, nice taunt.
Shout out to OK mid team fight.
Oh yeah, Pens will spam the hell out of
the best emote in the game.
that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, there's a one with the it looks like a western one with the train where when you pop it, it just goes choo choo, but he's like really pissed off. That one, I enjoy that one quite a bit too. But yeah, okay, nothing beats that one.
Yep. Uh, I've been rocking a Teemo thumbs up. I'm kind of just loyal to that, so that's what I've been going with. Nothing too much of note, honestly, for the rest of this mid game. It's kind of just the points we talk about around the draft with how much better of a draft Boppet has for themselves. They're able to just kind of win everywhere and then slowly usher in this lead. Uh, this is jumping way ahead, but in terms of big fights, we go to 222. Yeah, dive in the bottom lane. And it's just leads everywhere. It's super easy to execute go buttons, and they're really good at that too. By this point, they're already, 8k gold up. They're pushing advantages into the enemy jungle, and that lets them, pounce with those aforementioned go buttons. And this, really seals the deal for them. This fight here.
Mm-hmm. That was a nice Renato ult, but yeah, this Jinx can't do
What can they do?
nothing.
Well, very nice by Boppet to just recognize that they have the ability to fight them like that, and yeah, like just nothing. Like Jinx, sorry, but you are not able to play there, and they will run at you and kill you, as they did.
I hate this Roa.
Yeah, I don't. I also the catalyst came in after the blasting one, which I don't understand. I think half of the reason you buy Roa is because catalyst is such a powerful component. Um, So if you're not even using that, I think you should just go in Leandri's first. But you're the Ace Hole Merchant, not me.
I mean, I'm okay with either Leandries or Blackfire Torch, just because you want the extra wave clear coming out of items to try and stabilize this game. But again, we're moving we're moving seats on the Titanic here. This is not
Yeah.
this is not just this is not gonna work. I
Yeah.
hate to put it that way. Like your Orin's upgrading a Jinx item that's only has Yuntal at this point.
Yeah. It's rough. I mean, from this point on, it's pretty
Yeah.
standard by Bop it. They just end the game pretty clean, I think, from what I remember.
Yeah, this is a complete like how not to draft here. I hate to be like that severe on it because I think Solid, like I said, they've been one of the more consistent drafting teams out there, but I yeah, this is not. I mean, we're seeing 3 and 4 men Renata ults continuously in these highlights. I mean, Acel just dropped a big ult there, and you just got no value out of it. People are still limping away at worst. IE just got done at 26 minutes. Yeah, this is just not good. Everybody will probably circle cyanuric acids, 1 and 6. He just kind of looks like he's I don't want to say like sprinting it or running it, but he's having a rough game. But it just you gave him, like you said, it's an impossible task here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you're put on the only proactive champ on your team, like that's how your KD's gonna look this
Yeah.
game. It's something that my jungler Pho has dealt with a lot, where the KD looks super rough, but it's like what can he do? And yeah, I also want to bring up just a kind of a side note that in this series, ADC's Pryode cleanse really heavily. I don't know what you guys think about that, but there was even a game, I believe, I think it might have been game one, where they remade because they cleanse wasn't taken. I don't think it's that strong, but I don't know what you guys think. I don't know if like
Yeah,
either
I
ADC
I
needs it
brought
here.
that up a few times. I don't really like it, especially on like the Jinx this game. I think this was a game I really touched in on it. I think you should only go cleanse if there's something you're realistically cleansing in lane, and that pretty much means you're into an engaged support. Because we're at a point now, especially meta-wise, where Mikhail's is so prevalent for supports, and so a lot of the times you don't even need a cleanse in the mid to late game because your support will have a Mikhail's for you, and hopefully you have the trust in your support to use that. But what are you really cleansing here? Like maybe the exhaust, the Galio taunt you should never be hit by in the first place if you're positioning well. Vi Ari combo, you would be having to cleanse flash out of that. So similar situation. You're not really looking to cleanse that. You should maybe just look for like a ghost if you want to kite things out and really skill check. But barrier, I think, is just the should be the summoner for 80 carries right now. It's gonna keep you alive in lane, great survivability there, and then it doesn't necessarily scale as well into the late game, but still gives you good chance of survivability. And unless you're under immense crowd control threat, cleanse doesn't really do too much.
I thought also in game one, um, this is the one I believe that got remade because Sivir took Barry originally.
Yeah,
Like
and it's
if you're
Sivir.
playing Sivir, you have a spell shield already, and the Lulu's gonna build Mikhail's like if you need it. I don't think you need cleanse there, but it's nitpicky at this point maybe. But I thought
No,
it was probably a little bit
I
too heavily.
100% agree. I believe I touched on that in most of the games, especially with the Sivir, especially with this Jinx, because you think back to the Sivir game, the only thing you'd be cleansing is a Maokai root, which once again you should never be getting hit by when you have that spell shield anyway. So I don't know if that's just a comfort thing out of these 80 carries, but not not really a fan of those. Uh,
I
Glad you brought that up.
I see kind of what you're saying on paper. Um, I think one trick bringing cleanse here against Renata is not the worst idea. I do say that the Jinx bringing cleanse, I think, is the more interesting one there. But yeah, I think sometimes you either have ADCs that love cleanse or hate it. And I tend to agree with what you guys are saying that cleanse is just it's a little overvalued.
Be the
Especially,
last little fight of this game too, as well.
especially wait, you go cleanse and then Zhonya's too. You don't need cleanse if you have Zhonya's.
Yeah, it's but you know, builds aside, summoners aside, very clean game by Boppet,
Yeah,
and yeah,
yeah. This yeah, Bobbit just had their way here. There's nothing stopping them. Now you put this draft into game one with 60 minutes. Oh, that's a whole different story here. But
sure that's what Solid had their eyes on. You know, game one went so long, they just felt they needed to get to that point, but you know that's the hard part.
yeah, yep. That's why I don't play ASOL and solo queue. So, yep. Where is?
Bounce back in this game three. We can turn it back to more positive notes.
Yeah,
Solid end up stomping this game three. I think this is a very good comp. You know, I talked about the Amumu misfortune maybe lacking from the Capachunga series. Solid pick it on 1-2 for the red side. I think that's a great choice. And then Garzok's Vel'Koz coming through, just the right amount of cook. And the rest of the team to round it up matches up very well into Bop It, and they execute on it great as well. Do you guys have kind of thoughts on this draft?
I agree. I think this is the exact kind of comp that Team Solid really excelled at throughout the season. I think, as you mentioned, the Amumu misfortune is just so strong when you can get it off, and they've shown that they're pretty consistent at being able to use that effectively. Vel'Koz and Braum only add to that, like, and then they end up like, another R5 Gwen here in a second series into a Scion. Like, well, actually, the Scion I'm pretty sure goes jungle here, but it's it's just a great draft for Solid and the exact type of game they want to play.
Yeah, I'm 100%.
Ion Jungle. Uh,
No, you're
you
good.
want to touch on that?
Yeah. I can definitely have a little fun with this one. Scion Jungle scales insanely quick, insanely well, but it needs a lot of gank setup to be like useful and impactful. Like the more setup, the better. And Boppet didn't have the greatest amount of setup. Uh, if you gotta land in Bessa R or you're asking for like Alistar Zaya to really CC some people, but I mean it's a nice trick. I've seen some Sweat League teams kind of play around with it, so it has its place as a tank jungler. But no, I'm 100% with Campbell on the Team Solid draft. This is literally the draft I was wanting to see out of them. You know Garzok is a really big Vel'Koz player, so to not ban that and then pick Hui in her face, like you're asking to get punished by an artillery mage.
Yeah. We can jump into game
Yep, yep.
because I think well executed on the side of Solid and Franken team as they titled themselves in this draft. You know, it's an interesting Scion Jungle game. I like your point on no setup because that was my view on it too. Is you don't really have much to go off with the pick, and you know, I think another crucial thing we've touched on Souls, being a really great top laner, top two top laner in the league, pretty much consensus. And on the Gwen, this is a pick where he has some agency.
Mm-hmm.
He can actually dictate how lane goes and transition that into leads elsewhere. We see that happen this game. I think the solo laners were the story of this game three, both of them pulling ahead. Uh, I don't really have this one mapped out too much. Duffy honestly did surprisingly well on the Scion. I was pretty shocked with how much the Scion was actually able to get done. Farmed up very nicely. He built up quite a lead over Cyanic. I feel like this series, from what I saw, Duffy got the better of Cyanic Acid, and part of that may be the lanes that we touched on earlier, but I feel like Duffy had better tempo timing with his camps into ganks and not really leaving camps up. And in pretty much every game was able to build just at least a few camp lead over Cyanic because Cyanic would stick on the map looking for plays.
Yeah, I didn't catch as much as this is I wanted to, but yeah, Duffy really had a really like standout series. Um, I felt like Cyanic Acid a lot of times in the draft was not dealt like the fairest hand, but this game definitely Team Solid's way. I felt it was quite interesting that Boppet, I mean, basically chose, especially in the solo lanes, to like hand check um, this specific game and these matchups because Souls has been an absolute rock up there, um, and I think this is the first time we've seen him on Gwen all split. Not too many top laners played Gwen this split, uh, so the fact that he busted this out and performed in a fighter v fighter matchup was really nice. I thought it was going to give Solid a lot of momentum going into the next game.
Yeah, I'd say you mentioned the hands check kind of in the top lane. One thing I think has become pretty clear with this rec league is that ease of execution should be on everyone's mind in the drafts. You can draft yourself like a skill matchup, but it just seems to come down to in these late game fights, like the easy combos to set up are always the most consistent, and it really can make or break the fight. So I think that's kind of going to be the key to a lot of the drafts.
Might be the key to the finals.
We'll see.
Yeah. So was this the first game where, or the first game in this series where Solid actually got like the first dragon and was really there for all the objectives?
They had first dragon in the first game. They had first 3 dragons.
Oh, you're right. You're right. All right, I'll shut up.
No, but it was obviously the tides changed pretty fast after that.
Yeah. Also, I love the move over to the aftershock of Mumu, understanding that he has no reason to build any type of damage here.
Yep, I love the tank. A lot of Amumus I've seen in this league and everywhere go the Andrews first. But you have a Vel'Koz, you have a Gwen, you do not need more magic damage, and your passive is good enough to help them out anyway.
Yeah. Oh, there's a sequence. Both solo laners getting solo kills there.
I mean, was run through the solo laners. They really built up a lead for Team Solid. That once all those skirmishes broke out, the Amumu and MF are obviously very strong individually, but then when you have a solo lane lead on top of everything, fights go very smoothly. You see great kills back and forth there. And this is jumping ahead a bit, but we can go to our first little team fight action, 3-20-10. A few more kills for the Team Solid squad off of some really just good play from everywhere. Nothing of incredible note, just solid. There's a reason that's their namesake. This was interesting. Scion going in to try to stop the Herald push, but MF getting a fully charged ulti onto Susan. A Mumu ult over top means that Zaya can't flash or ulti out, and that's a big triple kill. Turns into mid-tier 1. Both these solo laners are still doing work on the sides of the map in the 1v1, and this was a great bounce back game 3 from Team Solid.
Yeah. 6 kills on this Misfortune, 17 minutes. Yeah, at early lethality. Actually, she went full. Did she go full lethality? No, that's sorry, that's Collector.
I like the build
Yeah.
out of the Misfortune. I think it was, the lethality style build, which you see BT a lot of the times, which I think is overall the standard. But lethality, there's always a place for it, especially, you look at the enemy team, and besides the Scion, everyone else is going to be good lethality targets, if you will. And then with how accelerated the got, it's going to work out just fine. Going to keep that acceleration. This game three was kind of the inverse of game two, where Team Solid just getting ahead everywhere, methodically pushing their lead, pushing vision, not giving over free towers or free picks, and just closing out a very clean game.
Yeah, you're up 6K at 20 minutes. Just get Otacon here. Yeah. Team Solid definitely had a much better game here in this game 3. So, yeah, I do remember Garzog getting quite a bit of solo kills against this way.
Another double
Great game
lost
for
chapter on a
Garza.
mage there, CLT. You fan of that?
No, no, I'm not. I into artillery mages. Seraph's Embrace is the biggest bait item out there because she's just gonna poke you from a screen away, and then proc your Seraphs, and then there's nothing like you can't retaliate. Seraphs is there to buy time and give you a chance to retaliate, and against artillery mages, you're outranged anyway. It's just never gonna be useful. So
Zoom ahead for this one. Uh, in the next 10 minutes when the game ends, Bop would pick up 2 kills while Solid just continues to, lay in the pressure, span that gold lead, pick up Soul for themselves, eventually pick up Baron, Elder, and start to march it in. To, turn it into a series going into game 4.
yep, they methodically ended this game quite well. So, was this the end? Alright. Oh, they ended up getting 30-minute Elder. Oof. Elder
That was pretty much it.
Elder on artillery feels so good. And what do we have here?
Have game 4. Another stomp. Game 1 so back and forth, and then into the following 3 games, so stompy. Was quite an interesting change of pace. I, you know, looking at this draft, want to talk about it. Obviously, it looked like a pretty rough comp for Bop It. Just looking at the damage spread they kind of have. Uh, it's very clearly like, okay, they're indexing into Viego and into Duffy, and Duffy really delivered on it. If this Viego wasn't as ahead as he was, I think this was a very good team, solid draft, but able to kind of keep things nicely for them. And Duffy, MVP of the series for me, and a lot of that was because of this game 4.
I don't disagree. Um, the only thing that stands out is like Soraka in the double range. I feel like is going to get bullied quite heavily. So if she can make it through that early game, I don't know. I got 2 supports here. What's our thoughts on Soraka in general?
I don't love it. I was also a bit surprised at Solid's drafting strategy. They banned 3 ADCs in the first phase. I guess they felt they could pinch the pool. But that allowed Pens to get his karma, which I don't know if he's gotten yet this split. Um,
These
but that's his main, I believe. Um, and definitely looked effective here. And I think I don't love picking Soraka into it, I don't think.
I agree. I think they've been banning the 380Cs all series, just taking those comfort picks away from Susan, but giving over the Karma. We talked in Series 1 how Karma is pretty much a very dominant lane, and you have to pick some sort of engage into it. Blitzcrank, especially, is a great option there. But Soraka, you're not really doing anything. You're going to get outranged and outpoked as an enchanter. The angle that I see for it out of Squeezy was probably to try to shut down the Viego. Soraka and the Viego is a pretty nice matchup because of that silence, but it's still this blind pick. And I don't know if they were looking for the Caitlyn Karma on their end, but I would have liked to see a little stronger of a pairing alongside the Caitlyn. In game four Fearless, I don't know what you have in your pocket. It may be a little bit of a cook with an Elise, but Bard's open to still have good options away from the Karma. It's just Soraka really resigns you to a losing lane.
Yeah, if you really want the Enchanter, I think Nami's a decent option here. Can kind of sustain the ADC through the Karma poke with that heal. But yeah, I don't love Soraka.
I actually love the Bard cook here because there's an immobile mage. The jungler's not the most mobile, at least not in fights, and an Ash Karma's gotta burn at least a flash on the ult. So I like the Bard angle more, but again, it's Ash Karma when you get deep into Fearless. That's a tough lane to try and find a counter. I don't even know if like Braum was up and you can approach it that way.
Be a rough lane too.
Yeah,
You're so outranged.
yeah, you're playing dodgeball. I think no matter what you're picking in this lane.
Yeah, I feel like you probably just go for the Karma first. That would be the angle here. Uh, Draw that roundabout. Karma on one would maybe be the pick. 'Cause
Yeah.
then you can take either the Ashe or Caitlyn, whatever's left open.
Mhm.
But the rest of the draft, great space building out of Bop It with Vagar kind of setting up zone control. But I really like the potential fight that Team Solid has. Cass and Aatrox and Sejuani, I feel like they drafted themselves a good skirmishing topside that, just never really got the chance to get off the ground thanks to how Duffy piloted the Viego.
I I'm got a slight little kickback. I'm not a fan of the Aatrox. I think you
Hmm?
need something that's able to walk into their team comp to create like space. Aatrox typically likes people to walk into him. I don't like Sejuani being the only tank. Yeah, you got Soraka as like a heal bot in your back pocket, but I don't. I think there's something else that could have been there. Like maybe Mundo can kind of walk into their face. Yeah, he does kind of get chopped down and kited down, but at least it's a little bit of space to create for like Cassiopeia to work into or Caitlyn
I think
traps.
that's fair because the Aatrox doesn't win as hard into the Shen as you'd want it to.
Yeah.
The one pick that came to mind for me, which, you know, not sure about champ pool, and it's so easy to just name random champions and be like, oh, I didn't play that. If Vlad was at all in the pool, I feel like
Mm.
that would have been a super pick here. Into the Shen, it matches up well. You just get the scale, and then I feel like diving into the back line, being able to get through Vagar, and just scaling up nicely too, while not really sacrificing lane, was the one pick that maybe came to mind. But I can understand not liking the Aatrox pick for sure.
Yeah. Vlad's an option. Maybe a tankier Swain. I don't really hate like Malphite here. Like just to at
Yeah.
least give you a go button with Sejuani, but then Cassiopeia's like too far back. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
We can.
hate the Aatrox. I mean, I don't think it's the greatest in theory, but Souls was playing these kind of bruisery, like brawling picks the whole series and looking pretty effective, except for that Ornn. So I think just based on playstyle and maybe champ pool, it's like it's not the worst there for comfort.
Yeah, I can
But
see that.
I do agree that yeah, it's probably not like in a vacuum ideal for the going into the comp
It's
to
really
get into.
it's really like I feel like looking at these two series and then thinking back towards like Sweat League playoffs that I casted last split. It's very hard to be reactionary in a draft in like game 4, game 5 fearless unless you just have like a big ocean worth of champion pools for like multiple players.
Definitely. Game four, game five, sometimes it's about quick thinking, making the best of a potentially bad situation, especially if your pool's getting a little thin, and doing the best you can, because obviously neither team is getting the comp that they are in love with in game four and five of a Fearless series, so
Yeah.
that's definitely a huge component to drafting.
Yeah, I can see like what you guys did in your series where you take a small break and you're like, okay, let me at least think of like a set play type of draft where I don't really care what they answer with, but at least I know I have comfort on my side and ease of execution. So we'll see if that comes into play a lot in the finals. But yeah, I'm just kind of taking that back now that I've seen more and more BO5s fearless. But, these game 4, game 5s can get kind of wacky.
Even in the big leagues, like all in MSI and in the regional leagues, all the game five series, the game five is a bit of a stomp with crazy comps. Even the
Yeah.
pro players run out of champs eventually.
Well, they'll eventually start playing more than just like the standard 6 to 7 champs they've been playing for 10 years.
That's true.
So we'll go into gameplay and kind of start to wrap this up here. But
3v3 action all around the bot lane. I have three big moments in the lane here. So if we go to like 4:17:35, that's a bit of a jump. But
wait, we're at 11 minutes and it's 1-1. Okay.
yeah, I think things were a little tense. Once Viego got kind of unlocked is when things started to accelerate. Uh, we see Sejuani approaching in the bottom lane. I think Duffy just had a pretty good read on Cyanic. Yeah, they see him over the ward. That's a great point out, and that's what really kicks things off in this first play. We see him bolting on down, and the setup here for the play is probably all planned ahead in terms of what they're looking to do. So Duffy's in the area, able to kite this back, and it goes very well as Susan gets the stun under tower, and in comes the Viego.
These early bot fights or mid-game bot fights, just like kind of the Duffy show, just absolutely showcasing how powerful Viego can be in this kind of a team, and getting super super ahead with it.
Yeah, and that picks up, 2 kills there for 3 total. I got another stamp, 420-50. They turned that into a Drake, which is another little thing that helped them. Uh, but once again, around the bottom lane, the solo lanes are doing okay. Souls and Garzok are building a lead, just nothing substantial, especially compared to Duffy in this bot lane. It's again 3v3 action as Cyanic is down there, gets spotted out by the Hawk shot. So great jungle tracking, and they kind of know what's going on here, and they play around it well as Pens, I think trying to bait it in here. Seven and Squeezy falling low, thinking they have the advantage, but in comes Duffy, and once again this Viego able to turn it around.
Yeah, Duffy looked like he did a fantastic job protecting his bot lane this game.
Yeah, I think Susan got creep block there. That
Oh,
was pretty
yeah.
rough, but happened. So that's a 4th kill for Viego. Loops back around. I think looking for more. Don't think he gets anything. Uh, yeah, doesn't get anything there, but that's kill number 4. And then 4:23:15 going forward yet again. Guess where this action happens?
I'm gonna assume in the bot lane.
Yeah, so aggressive Shen ult comes down, and then this was some interesting tech out of Scrub Lord Ozai.
Yeah. Flash behind the taunt for. I don't even. Okay. Ooh.
Yeah. So
Ooh.
after all this, you have 6 kills on this Viego. He had the first tower bottom lane. He actually beat out Souls here. I think Souls was not hitting the tower as quickly as he could have, which is another little crucial pickup there, because that gets him feats. And so
Yeah.
Viego with 6 kills is looking very comfortable. I have yet another skirmish, about 4:27:15. Brings us some more action, yet again centered around Duffy on this Viego. And just
Oh. I,
consistently picking up the resets.
I remember this shopkeeper.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
dawned
we
on me.
can talk the game for, we've seen all the Viego action, so I think it's about time to talk shopkeeper. Let it out, CLT.
Oblivion Orb only works on magic damage.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember saying this in the chat too. Oh my
It's
lord, this broke my brain.
it's I think like I guess the idea, maybe if you're not so familiar with the item, that Ash's W is pretty good at, hitting lots of targets and flying. But of course it does do physical damage and it doesn't apply any grievous wounds at all.
Fir-
Uh,
First, first of all, why are you stunting your build? Like you have the 8 kill Viego, so like I I guess if you want to BM enough to waste money, go right on ahead and do it. But yeah, just donate this
yeah.
to Pens. There's no reason. Oh good.
And Karma's great at applying it too. Like with
Yeah.
that mantra Q, you can hit a number of people. Um, and then we see Vagar picks it up as well. I believe actually 4 people might have ended up with Grievous by the end of it, which
I,
makes sense against the comp, but just the Oblivion Orb on Ash. No.
yeah, I mean like I'm okay with like Ash Karma and then maybe like Shin with Bramble Vest getting it. I don't like Vagar's build at all, actually. But in the sense of the Oblivion Orb, he's not really known for hitting too many multiple targets. Um, just because of how wide the cage is, you tend to like stun quite a few people, but they're not close to each other. Um, God, how many times do I gotta rant about the Lost Chapter items? All right, we're gonna skip that one. Yeah, and I don't know why. I love Pens to death, and I've played with him so many times. He won't mind me just saying this. I don't. He never ever gets anti heal like early in a game when he needs to. I don't know how many times I've had to yell at him for that one.
He
Uh,
might have thought the ignite was enough, but I don't love ignite on Pens. I mean, you're
ah,
so far out of range. I think heal is just stronger. And then the
yeah.
Oblivion Orb, very
Yeah,
effective.
Campbell with the save there on that one. But yeah, I still don't. I don't like it, but at least he has a form of grievous wounds. But
Enemy
blah.
team, it's Soraka Aatrox.
What?
That's the two strongest healing characters in the game. You gotta
Yeah.
have an early source. Every time I'm laning into Soraka, you usually get executioners like before second item, even before first item sometimes, depending on if it's okay in your build path, because you will get so much value out of it. Crucial to have. So I'm definitely agreeing there. I think either the Karma or the Ash should have had that much earlier.
Yeah, and that's not. I don't want to get into framing builds the whole time, but I believe both ADCs go 3 items before they get Infinity Edge. I think Ash picks up LDR third here instead of Mortal Reminder. And so you look at the gold there. I mean, you're spending 3,900 gold not to apply grievous wounds when you could spend 3,300 and apply it. Not sure about that.
Yeah, yeah, 100% with you there. Dagger on Caitlyn, so yeah, not IE third. Which I mean, I think Caitlyn is the one champ. Well, the combination of Caitlyn Cassio is the champions that can actually like form this line of like zone control to where Viego, even though he's insanely ahead, he still has to actually like play the game with his brain on. Because Garzak, she got the 3 items. She's insanely farmed at this point. Um, Even though still 0-0-0, you have the Rylai's, you have Caitlyn traps. You can still easily like play this game and make something out of it. Um, Random dagger on Shen. Okay. Uh, so like I still don't feel like, even looking at this exact game state here, you're only down a little less than 5k, and you have the ability to like zone control with a Soraka in your back pocket. So if they just play this game a little bit slower, yeah, it feels bad you're letting the map go, but you've got one Drake, you've got the other one coming up in like another 3 minutes. If you could find a way to get the IE here on this Caitlyn, it's just not a terrible place to be.
Yeah, I think IE is just super important, especially for Caitlyn with your headshots.
Yeah.
And the crit damage, I believe, even increases your ult damage. Um, like, I don't even think that she ends up getting there. Which is just, like, as we talked about in game 2, like, you can have your scaling, but you need to find a way to get there, and the IE would be a much stronger mid-game spike, and Caitlyn just doesn't do much damage without it.
Right, how long this game went, it really felt like Boppet was always in control. They were able to get Soul for themselves. They were able to pick up some Barons for themselves, and just with the zone control of, Vagar Ash and the kills on Viego. I think it ended up going 40 minutes, but I really never had it down in my mind that this was a Boppet win.
It's hard for both teams to really like walk into each other, so yeah, I could see this going all the way to like maybe a second Baron just to try and fight to end this for either side. Because they just don't have the greatest engage. They're more like reactionary, responsive comps. So, does Ash sit on this Oblivion Orb the whole game, or does he actually hover it and see it does nothing?
Sits on it the whole game, I believe.
Okay.
Um, I will say, to give a credit to a build, I love Guardian Angel third on Duffy. I think junglers
Yeah.
going Guardian Angel early, especially bruiser junglers, is so strong because it allows you to just run in on these objectives and try and get a steal, get a smite. And then while you're reviving, your team can maybe get in and start a fight while you're reviving. So I do love that item from Duffy.
Yeah, I think it's a really good snowbally. It's an underappreciated snowbally item. Yeah, for sure. So, likewise, I love the Randuins coming out. I think it's pretty safe. Nice secondary slow on it. In case Viego gets, like, he got ahead, so it's not out of the realm that Viego might dip into crit. So,
Works on Sundered Sky too.
that it does. I forget that first auto does crit. I don't build 80 items. So, but, yeah. I mean, overall, I think, Team Solid obviously had, like, a fantastic season, amidst changing their mid laners a few times. This split, but they are one of the teams that like all the teams in the playoffs, they just got progressively better and better. And if they do end up coming back next split, they know exactly how they would like to play the game and how to draft around it, and maybe add some few tricks there overall. So
have anything to add
Uh huh.
on my end. If Campbell doesn't have anything, I think we can jump into closing this one out with some predictions.
Yep.
So Campbell, what's your prediction?
I'm gonna say bop it in 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they've got us beat in every
They're
position.
just
So
they're too good.
yeah,
Going for the Korean, like little humble type thing, huh? Like, yeah,
exactly.
they're so good. Cover your bases. Who am I gonna curse today, huh? Because I don't think I've been right about like anything. So we'll we'll see if it's broken this go around. But do we know if Bop It has their full squad first off?
So
They told me they expect to, um, but I guess we don't know yet.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
stuff can come up. So always be interesting to see. Uh, I am gonna have this one go in 5. I feel like, every team has matched up pretty evenly in this top 4. I am gonna give the nod to Capachungus this go around,
Let's
3-2.
go.
I think. Well, hey, don't say that, right? That's all the
3.
curses. But please break it. I'd love to see that. Just speaking on the well-roundedness nature of the Capachungus squad. I feel like that's going to be a pretty big advantage for them because they can win through most anywhere. And, I think the spot of concern will be the mid jungle just because that's what's been the dominant force for Boppet. Cyanic was a very highly rated jungler and definitely gapped by Duffy here in the series. So I think that's my point of concern for Capachungus, and the point of strength for Boppet is that mid jungle of Duffy and Christmas music. If they can continue to team up well, I think things look good for them. But the thing Capachungus has going for them, besides the balance, is I think Campbell tends to team up well with his mid jungle. Probably the best at doing so amongst all the supports in the league. So I think that will help maybe nullify some leads that the Bop at mid jungle would otherwise get. And then from there, pretty impressed with Golden Sunset top lane, actually. I think we'll be able to hold pretty well into Scrublord Ozai, and then I definitely give the bot lane edge of Joker over One Trick Susan. I think there's just a little more versatility there. I think Susan tends to play pretty standard scaling picks, and I think that will open the opportunity up for the Capachungus bot lane to get ahead. It's going to be close. I think it's going to be a lot of back and forth, and it's going to come down to some pretty tense team fights because of how well balanced both teams are. But I think in the best of 5 fearless scenario, I do think Capachungus has shown a little more versatility, and I think that will be the edge for them in the finals. What are your thoughts, CLT?
So I agree with a lot of the sentiments there. I think overall, when you're coming to versatility and you're approaching a draft, I think Capachungus has shown a lot more versatility and a lot more like spread out on the champ pools. Even though I think they do tend to stay within certain themes of it, I think they do it very well. I do like Golden Sunset at top, being able to pull out maybe a couple more like fightery picks and play kind of those hands checking matchups a little bit better than Timos. And Joker at bot lane I think is really good. I would have loved to seen uh, him potentially like get a full season and really showcase what he does compared to Golden. Not that Golden was terrible. He's obviously an all star for a reason. Um, the thing I remember saying about Bop It in previous episodes was when they kind of had that rough patch in the season. A lot of teams attacked the mid jungle champion pool mainly. Christmas um, tends to have played like a very subset of champions. He's been probably the biggest Mel merchant out there, and I know he tried to play a few more aggressive champs. I think we've seen him pull out like the Echo and the Irelia against MTE. So that might be something to watch out for, but we'll see how comfortable he is on it. Overall, man, I think my heart tells me that I don't know if Capachungus can survive the blows that Bobbit throws, especially in that mid jungle. I think you're absolutely spot on with that Nexus. But something tells me like Capachungus is they're the ones that have adapted and I feel like has learned from every single series throughout the whole split. So I think that type of tenacity and learning nets them the win here. I think I do agree that it's going to be a 5 game series. If it's going to be if it's going to be like a 3-0 or a 3-1, I think I would edge the side to bop it just because the punches that they throw with the champions that they play are very prominent. But I think Capachungus they can punch right back. They had a really great series against Caster Curse, which I think throws the hardest punches, um, especially in laning phase. So I go Capachungus in 5, but it's going to be an entertaining one.
Yeah, all right. Looks like we're in line. And we're not just saying that because Campbell's here, obviously. So,
Yeah,
important disclaimer there. But I'm excited for the series.
yeah, I am as well. I believe we're looking at what, Sunday night?
That's the goal, I think. Just
Okay.
waiting to hear confirmation, but should be Sunday evening. Yeah.
All right, cool. Definitely sign me up for that one. Especially now that we push Sweat League back 1 week. Yes, I get a week off. Uh, so yeah, yeah, we got All Star Game tomorrow. That should be a lot of fun.
Yep.
And yeah, we're gonna wrap the season up. So Campbell, you got anything you want to say to the folks out there?
I'm gonna say good luck to Bop It. We're gonna give you our all. Shout outs to everyone in the rec league. It was a great season, a lot of fun. Um, all the captains I talked to were really great, really easy to schedule with, and yeah, just hope we get to do it again sometime.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and close her down here. That was our semifinal episode for Midwest Weekly, and thank you, Campbell, for being most honorable last second guest.
Hmm.
I don't think he was planning to sign up for a 2.5, almost 3 hour episode, but
Well, that was a big reason why it almost hit 3 hours. So kind of yapped a little bit here, but it's all good.
it's all right as long as you don't yap as much as Pens. We're good. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and close it here. I will post this probably we'll say Thursday afternoon. Have a little fun with it, but yeah, I'm gonna sign off. Deuces.